the White House calling the post deeply concerning, saying it's being taken very seriously. Now, this comes after the former FBI director posted a picture of shells arranged on a beach that read 8647, along with the caption, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk." Comey posting that to his 130,000 Instagram followers before deleting it a little while later. Now, that post raised red flags to many, as the number 86 is a common call sign used for murder or to get rid of someone, while the number 47 is seen as a reflection of Trump's current term in office. Comey took to social media after deleting the post, writing, quote, "I posted earlier a picture of some shells I saw today on a beach walk, which I assumed were a political message. I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence, so I took the post down." But the Secret Service responding to all of this, saying they vigorously investigate anything that can be taken as a potential threat. And Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, saying the dangerousness of the post cannot be underestimated. Listen.
The rule of law says people like him who issue direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law. I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
The former FBI director was appointed by former President Obama and fired by Trump during his first term.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. I thought this was the baby's room. I'm really sorry.
I was in the pool! I was in the pool!
That's so good. I was in the pool! Oh, we'll get to that. I wasn't ready for that one. I wasn't ready for that one, Jerry. Jerry! Oh, man. Hello! It's your boy, Benny. Today is Free For All Friday, May 16th, 2025. And what a crazy breaking news day. We will be locking in and telling you everything about the dark satanic rituals that have been exposed in the Diddy trial. Nobody's covering this, and we have the experts on the program as promised to talk about this, and we're going to go there. We found the deposition tapes. We found the testimonies. We found what they wanted to cover up, and we're going to expose all of it. It involves Hillary Clinton, the Bushes, Barack Obama, and involves a chilling prophecy about President Trump getting assassinated a la JFK. It all happened 8 years ago, and we missed it. Everyone missed it because we thought these people were crazy. And now it turns out they were right. And what else are they right about? Ooh, baby. We're going to mix that in with a little bit of new evidence bursting forth from a federal government that doesn't want to give us any evidence about Jeffrey Epstein. Do they have a connection? Of course they do. We're going to make that connection here on the program. If you're looking for truth, you are locked into the right place, and hopefully James Comey will be locked up in the right place. James Comey threatening the president's life last night. We're going to cover all that and get right into it with the great Ed Martin, who works at the DOJ now in government oversight and weaponization. This is a perfect place for him and a perfect guest for us to talk about James Comey trying to kill Donald Trump. And we're going to explain why that's so serious. We've had a guest on our program tell us that James Comey tried to kill him. We're going to cover all of that. Liz Crokin will join the program. It's our honor to finally have her on. She's someone who has revealed so very much about Diddy and the dark forces that run our federal government, the Clintons, and so on. Couldn't be a better booking. And ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. I was ready to go this morning. I get up in the morning. Let me take a step back. I got these kids, and I want to live for my kids. That's it. I want to not only live, like as in like a breathing on the couch, I want to be able to throw my kids up in the air and run around with them and give them a childhood, right? You want to be able to jump on the mat, as Klein does. You know, Klein coaches jiu-jitsu with these little kids, right? He's got these great photos, you know, and he's out there and he's brawling and he's rolling. You want to be able to do that. That's actually what creates great bonds with you and trust. And especially if you have boys, like you want to be able to rough them up, right? That's a love language, truly, from a father to a son. And so you want to be healthy. And I got a couple of problems. One, we sit in the studio all day. I do have a standing desk, but we're in the studio all day. And then two, I got high blood pressure, right? And this is something I've had my entire life. It comes naturally. And so while I get up in the morning and I make sure that I'm getting a workout in, I make sure I'm getting some cardio in, I'm like getting mobile and moving, I also make sure that I'm taking care of my insides, my ticker here, okay? Because that can cut it all short. That's why I use 120 Life. In fact, I drank it this morning, and it was stolen from me by my 3-year-old, who grabbed it and started guzzling it down. And she loved it as well. And so did my 18-month-old. Anyway, the point is that it's all natural. Listen, trust me, believe this. Nurse Kate keeps the poisons away from the kids, all right? She checked the ingredients here. She's like, no, there's 6 all-natural ingredients that have been blended together, and there's no additives, and this sucker is set and ready to go. It's what I drink to make sure that I have my blood pressure all taken care of, okay? It can certainly help lead to longevity. 120 Life is here to manage blood pressure, but also it can help you with diabetes. It can help you with overall good feeling in the morning, because all natural ingredients make sure that you are fighting back some of the poisons in our society. 120 Life is trusted by healthcare professionals with hundreds of doctors recommending it to manage blood pressure naturally. All right. We're going to have a high blood pressure on this program, so I'm glad I drank my 120 Life this morning. For a limited time, try 120 Life and save 20% off. Just use the code Benny at checkout, 120life.com. 120 Life offers a risk-free trial with a full refund if you don't see the numbers in 2 weeks. Go to 120life.com and use the code Benny to save 20% off. And there's nothing to lose except for your high blood pressure. All right. I got high blood pressure looking at this post from President Trump, just like this was the post that he put up. Trump just put this post up while we were going live. Okay, so while we're live, I'm like, we got to play it. We got to put this is pop it up right before we get into everything this morning, because this is going to be a dark and heavy show, and so why not start with a little levity before we go there? President Trump, has anyone noticed that since I said I hate Taylor Swift, she's no longer hot? So Trump just posted this, all right? It's a couple minutes old. And this is why we're starting the show at 10 a.m. It's like a good segue into, we've made this decision official. We're going to start the stream at 10 a.m. We think it's going to work a lot better for us to get to the news cycle that's happening, and this week has proved happens literally while we sleep. We're going to be able to get and crash in faster, and we're going to lock in with what Trump's doing, because Trump's up at all hours of the night, and he likes to kick off the news day and start it by breaking news. And there's a lot of breaking news, a ton of breaking news this morning. Kash Patel says he's going to end the FBI building in D.C. He promised he'd turn it into a museum of the deep state, and Kash Patel said that this morning. Breaking news about an hour ago. There's so much that happens, so we don't need to. I mean, we're not trying to mess up with anybody's schedule, but we just think this is going to vibe. We like being at a morning show. We like setting the news cycle and being able to cover that and make the news cycle ourselves. And so doing the show at 10 a.m. we think is a really, really solid decision. We hope that you agree. We put up a poll, and why don't we put up another question? Are you happy with us moving the show to 10 a.m.? Please post that as a poll in the chat. And let us know, honestly. This is a show for you, by you, of the people, by the people. And so if you hate it, then we can always move. We're not corporately owned. We haven't been bought out by BlackRock or some hedge fund. That does literally happen to some of your favorite podcasts. It's very sad when that happens. Suddenly you'll start seeing the hosts will start driving Rolls Royces and move into a mansion by the beach, and then they'll stop talking about the things you care about. Okay? That's how it works, right? It's called selling out. We haven't done that. We won't ever do that. This is a show for you, by you, and we can make it what we want together. So get ready for more on that front. But anyway, we've decided this week. This week we had banger shows. We had a lot of fun, a lot of energy in the morning, and a lot of things are happening. We feel like it'll be the best to our main goal here, which is to provide and to create the news cycles. Okay? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Speaking of creating a news cycle, James Comey posted this yesterday. 8647. What does this mean? What does 8647 mean? 8647 means that he wants to kill Trump, effectively. So to 86 something in the culinary world means to strike it from the menu, to throw it in the trash, to get rid of a customer. The customer's drunk, right, or pinching the waitress's behinds. You 86 them, right? You kick them out of the restaurant. That's where some people have heard this terminology. Is where I first heard the terminology when I was like a busboy, okay? When I was a teenager, busboy. However, the way that this term has been understood from a cultural perspective outside of, let's say, the hospitality industry is to kill someone. It's been used in movies, TV shows, music. To 86 something is to order it to be taken 8 miles out of town and put 6 feet under. A coffin is 8 feet long and it goes 6 feet in the earth. That's what an 86 means. And this is widely understood by everyone, but especially people who've spent 30 years in federal law enforcement. People who spent that long in federal law enforcement, who locked up mobsters and gangsters, while absolutely knows what the term 86 means. And so when James Comey posts that he wants to 8647, which, by the way, has become a very popular thing for the extremist, bloodthirsty left to post. You go to any rally outside of a Tesla dealership or any march in D.C., you'll see 8647. They're calling for the assassination of President Trump. And the left has become, and always was really, a violent movement, and a movement that views assassination and killing as a means to an end. Marxists always do. The mask has just slipped, and they're ready to tell you who they are. They've always wanted to murder in order to get what they want. Go check the tape and the records, the early returns of any Bolshevik or Maoist revolution, and you'll find the highest body bags on planet Earth. It's amazing. It's amazing how you're in school and they try and they try and push, and obviously it's important to learn all of history, but they try and push the ideology of communism while still trying to explain how the world's worst dictators on earth aren't the world's greatest mass murderers. So you hear a lot about Hitler in school, but you hear virtually nothing about how Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong have much higher body counts. In fact, Mao Zedong is the greatest mass murderer of the last 100 years, by far. Not by a little, by a lot. 60 million bodies. Joseph Stalin killed far more people and was killing his own people. And so, yeah, you can bundle everyone together as evil people. I would put Dr. Fauci in there too, right? Hitler, Mao, Stalin, Fauci, all evil. They all have big old body piles of deaths. But let's desanitize history and look at the ideologies that led to the greatest mass deaths. It's always Bolshevism. It's always Marxism. It's always been Marxism. That's just an honest reading of history. Funny how we don't learn that. Isn't that interesting? I wonder why. Where are all the movies supposed to be made? Where are all the movies about this? Why don't we ever get those? Curious, in fact. Yeah, we never hear those stories. Anyway, the point is that when you are of the Marxist and radical Bolshevik left, murder, whether it's a healthcare CEO. I mean, Luigi is we met someone at a left-wing protest who was she was wearing a Luigi hat. She was talking about how much she loves Luigi. These people are willing to murder, and they want to murder, and they glorify it. And so James Comey posting this, he knew exactly what the F he was doing. He deleted it when he realized that he was going to be criminally investigated. James Comey deletes it and then says, I so sorry. I so sorry. Think about this. James Comey, who by every measure and reading of history should be sitting there, should be sitting there atop the FBI, more powerful than the president right now. He should be the guy running the Epstein rings. He should be the guy running the Diddy rings. He was the guy who probably authorized that stuff. James Comey should be the most powerful person in all of Washington, D.C. based on a literally the trajectory of a bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania, and a couple votes in a couple key counties in the year 2016. How quickly history can bifurcate, and now James Comey is wandering around on a beach, putting shells in order, finding shells, and putting them in order by himself, alone, like a angsty teenage girl. What a bitch this guy is. What a sad bitch, the way this guy's life has gone. Anyway, humiliating for James Comey. He says that now I so sorry. Yeah, too late, pal. Kash Patel says the Secret Service is investigating you, and the FBI will help. Then Kristi Noem, who's in charge of the Secret Service, says a disgraced James Comey is going to get his ass kicked. DHS and Secret Service are investigating this and will respond appropriately. Secret Service spokesperson says James Comey is under investigation. We vigorously investigate anything that can be taken as a potential threat against our protectees. We are aware of the social media post by FBI director. We will take this rhetoric very seriously. This is Anthony Guglielmini. Why this man still has a job after lying about Trump and Butler, I don't know. Boy, I'd like to ask that. Boy, please let me interview the Secret Service director, Sean Curran. Seems like a good guy. The White House sounding off, Dan Scavino, who's the voice of Donald Trump effectively, saying Comey's a piece of S. While we claim to not know what 8647 means, there's no doubt that the former FBI director knows exactly what he's doing, with a plea to bad actors to assassinate Donald Trump while he's traveling abroad, no less, in dangerous places of the world. Taylor Budowich, who is the communications director of the White House, says, it's worth noting that the assassination threats of President Trump's historic Saudi speech when he declared the demise of neocons and nation builders. American leadership has been restored and peace is on the horizon. The deep state is desperate. And Comey is one of the latest and disturbing example of lashing out through threats of violence. They should take this very seriously. I've thought through this, and I want to establish something really important. Please grab me that General Flynn clip. General Flynn was on our show, and he said, Comey tried to have me killed. And I've thought about that ever since. What does that mean exactly? Here's General Flynn's tweet yesterday saying, this is really bad and you need to be taken seriously. General Flynn comes on our show and he's like, James Comey tried to have me murdered. I've always wanted to really dig into that. But after seeing this post last night, I was like, wait a second. James Comey, based on 30 years in federal law enforcement, has probably so many black ops teams, so many little nucleuses, so many splinter groups that he has that he has led and ferreted, that he has created and incubated throughout his career. These people are allowed to carry guns around Donald Trump. And could they potentially be activated by James Comey? How many Secret Service agents who have firearms around Donald Trump? How many FBI agents who have firearms around Donald Trump? How many members of federal law enforcement who protect Donald Trump, who have loaded weapons all around Donald Trump? How many of these people still answer to James Comey? How many of them would owe James Comey something? How many of them were hired by James Comey or got a big break because of James Comey? And so you got to take this is more than just some psychotic granny from Vermont posting this. This is the guy who has direct access to still probably thousands in federal law enforcement who owe him a favor or could answer to him. It's very dark. It's very sinister, and it should be taken extremely seriously. Here's General Flynn telling us live on this program that Comey tried to have him killed.
I knew that we had to fight through this, and it was not easy, but we were able to stand our ground. We figured out a way out of it. My case was dismissed by the government, by the Department of Justice, and what they should have done was they should have killed me there, Jim, and I know that they considered it. And so by not doing that, they picked the wrong family to mess with him.
I know that they considered. That's just all we need to hear. Okay. So James Comey tried to have me killed. And we asked about this, and General Flynn's like, no, I have this on good authority that James Comey attempted to or considered having me killed just to finish the job. This is why we're really happy that the administration is responding the way that they are and treating this very seriously, not as some cutesy thing. Tulsi Gabbard was probably the most muscular response last night. She's the director of national intelligence, saying Comey needs to be behind bars.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
Put behind bars. You got to take this seriously. James Comey's ordered hits before. James Comey knows so many federal law enforcement agents. How many touch points does he have with these people? President Trump responding last night. Luckily, we had the interview set and ready to go, and Trump could go in, like right here.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent, but he was competent enough to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard. Because people like me, and they like what's happening with our country. Our country has become respected again, and all this. And he's calling for the assassination of the president.
Obviously, he apologized and said he doesn't.
Well, he
wasn't
apologized
calling
because
for violence. But
look, he's a very bad.
What do you want to see happen?
What
do you want to see happen?
I don't want to take a position on it because that's going to be up to Pam and all of the great people. But I will say this: I think it's a terrible thing, and when you add his history to that. If he had a clean history, he doesn't. He's a dirty cop. He's a dirty cop. And if he had a clean history, I could understand if there was a leniency. But I'm going to let them make that decision.
He's a dirty, dirty cop. We're going to do an entire episode today on dirty cops, on what's happening right now with James Comey's progeny. How the hell is James Comey's daughter, Maureen Comey, allowed to do deep state cover-ups still for the Southern District of New York? You know, she's prosecuting Diddy. We're learning so much about Diddy, the connections to Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. Oh, man, some really dark stuff, and I cannot wait to cover it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have someone from the DOJ locked in and ready to go. It's our great honor to welcome Ed Martin to the program for the first time. He's the Associate Deputy Attorney General, the DOJ pardon attorney. He's overseeing government weaponization, which, of course, this would be like James Comey turning the weapons of the government against Trump, calling for an assassination. I'm sure he has much to say on this issue. Please welcome Ed Martin. Eagle Ed Martin, it's our honor to have you on the program. The great, the eagle, the legal eagle is here for us.
Great to be on with you, Benny, and your great listeners. I want to say thank you to you. As I was going through the process of the Senate confirmation, a lot of your folks that listen to you and track these issues were very supportive of me, and I was very honored. And I think President Trump was good enough to nominate me for that spot. It didn't work out with the Senate. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit, but more importantly, I've got a lot of work to do for the president and his vision. And I was listening to the show with you just now, Benny, and I was thinking, I was over with Tulsi this morning. I happened to have a morning meeting scheduled with Tulsi Gabbard. So we talked about this matter, and I was walking her through the trajectory of, Chuck Schumer did this 5 years ago when he aimed his rhetoric at Kavanaugh and Gorsuch in a way that's unheard of, unparalleled. You will reap the whirlwind, Kavanaugh and Gorsuch. And within a few weeks or months, or maybe a month and a half, there was a guy with zip ties and a gun at Kavanaugh's house. Right. So as the president so smartly put it, Comey knows what he's doing. I mean, these is big league ball players. They know exactly what they're communicating. And the trajectory is really, really haunting. To live in a society where the leaders are going to act like pure scum, pure bottom feeding, really, really bottom feeding people, abusing their power, influence, and everything else. It's no surprise to us that have seen what Comey's been doing, but it's really troubling. And a lot of Americans pay a price when they have these leaders. And I would say this is weaponization. It's weaponization because the guy is the FBI, the former director of the FBI, has a lot of authority. He had his clearances still till just a few weeks ago or months ago, wow. and is out there, sort of vouching for conduct in a way that the American people see. Again, I was proud of Tulsi to get out there. A few minutes ago, I spoke with Judge Jeanine Pirro, who's now the prosecutor in the D.C. U.S. Attorney. She's all over this matter. She's got the FBI on it. Secret Service is on it. And I think Jim Comey made a terrible mistake, but he has to also be an example. And I'm looking forward to being a part of anything we can do to prove any readily provable crime and hold him accountable. But Benny, if there's not a crime, if it's First Amendment, we can still say, we can name and shame. He's still a disreputable human being. That guy teaches ethics at William & Mary School of Law. That school should be ashamed. It's a public school. They should stop letting the guy teach ethics at William & Mary Law School. It's an embarrassment to the school, and it's an embarrassment to the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that's the kind of stuff you have to be willing to say, name and shame these bottom feeders, and hopefully prosecute him.
So, wow, lucky for us, Ed, we happen to have Cornell Law School. Let's just pull this up here. 18 U.S. Code 871, threats against the president and his successors. It says here that if you post a threat publicly against the president, whether you write it, mail it, whether you post it on social media, that you are going to get 5 years in the slammer. You could also get some very hefty fines. It's pretty cut and dry here. It's not really a long statute. It's just straight up, like, don't threaten the life of the president. And I guess you're going to have to find a way out of this, because this seems pretty clear as to what James Comey has done.
Well, you're going to discover that James Comey is going to suddenly invoke the Constitution, which he trampled over, and Joe Biden's administration trampled over, and he's going to say it's free speech, and he's going to protest then. But let me point to scumminess some more, Benny, if I may. Please. Do you know that guy Comey has a book out in about 2 weeks, and it's all about some TDS overwrought prosecutor going after a conservative? So, in other words, the top guy of the FBI that's made millions and millions of dollars already off of trading on his nearly traitorous conduct against the United States, in my opinion. Everything I see, I can't prove it yet. I hope someone can, but it's really nasty stuff he did. He's selling books. So if you think he's not, look, this is a guy that played information warfare at the highest level. New York Yankees, LA Dodgers, St. Louis Cardinals, top level ball players, information warfare. And he's doing it to sell his books, FDR Drive. There it is. And so, it is the worst of America to see the exploitation of the American people. And I think you're right, though. He thought he could do a Schumer, which is say something dramatic and take it back. But Schumer only threatened justices. You're right. He threatened the president. And it's a lot clearer that we don't tolerate that. And I think he's in a jackpot. And I can't say that I feel bad. He's been abusing this country as a public figure for a lot of years now.
So it seems like what you could potentially do, because there's no doubt that in 30 years at the FBI and in federal law enforcement that James Comey has come about this term, 8 to 86 someone. It's been around for a very long time and is very popular. And you see it at protests. You see it all across social media, actually, on the left, as they grow ever violent and get back to their roots. So it seems like what could happen is you could potentially have a situation where James Comey is going to be lying to federal officials. He's going to be lying to the FBI when he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know what this meant." There's clearly a record of James Comey knowing what this means, and that you could really there's a lot of very bad traps for James Comey in this instance.
Yeah. Look, a number of them. Look, first thing that happens, he says, "Oh, I didn't know that meant that." Well, there'll probably be some people that he worked with that will testify, he knew, or there might even be a paper trail that says he used that phrase and everybody knew. But there'll also be a point where a jury will be asked, a fact finder, like, shouldn't the guy know? Like, here's a record of what you're doing. It's not like he, moved to the country last, week from, Papua New Guinea and had never been exposed to the media or the law. This is, a seasoned professional who knows. And look, he took it down so fast. He knows he made a mistake. But excuse me, I don't think this statute is one that you sort of take back. It's pretty clear. You post it, you do it. That may mitigate his jail sentence or something like that. But I think he's got a problem. And as you point out, perjury traps are next, because he's got to either lie or tell the truth. And when he chooses that, he's either going to jail on one or he's going to jail on the other. So I don't know. Is he a drinker? Was someone impaired? Because this was a colossal misjudgment by somebody who should have known better.
It's amazing how far you fall, really. He was sitting there running DC effectively as with godlike powers above the president, spying on the president, lying to the FISA court, and now he's gathering shells and dolting around a beach like a angsty preteen girl and setting up little shell designs on the beach. It's really humiliating, actually. It's very embarrassing, frankly. So very quickly, Ed, before we move on, since you talked with Tulsi Gabbard, since you spoke with Judge Jeanine this morning, and since you're working at the DOJ and you're obviously very tied in, is this bluster from the administration, or is something actually going to happen? Because the reason why this is so important is I don't want there to be a fomenting of culture of there's an assassination culture, a permissibility that is growing on the left. We've seen it ourselves with people worshiping Luigi for killing the United Healthcare CEO. This is happening, and it's very scary. It's permissibility of violence, and it's been growing for a long time, and it needs to be stamped out. And it'd be nice to see a big figurehead like James Comey get put away and be a marker to say, don't do this. Actually, nobody wants to live in a country with sectarian violence.
Well, let me answer the question. I agree with you, and I think you will see. I think you will see this proceed, because I agree with you how you read the law. Although I'm not in that case in terms of the formally, but let me make a point to you. We have to have people like Tulsi lead in her voice last night. We have to have people talking about this from positions of authority about why it's wrong. Look, I talked about Schumer. He ended up, it wasn't law breaking, but it needed to be identified. There's other members of Congress, this Garcia guy who said that Elon, they should go at him with weapons. I mean, we have to name and shame as part of that's what prosecutors do, by the way. And frankly, most of our prosecutors, excuse me, are too shy about naming and shaming, because you're told, oh, well, what happens if there's a prosecution? Is it going to be compromised? No, you got to be out there and you got to lead on this. And I do think there will be prosecution. I do think they'll go after this. I think the Secret Service is in the lead. I know that the FBI is supporting. I mean, you do have to go through the process. We're not them. Benny, we don't want to turn into them where we just target people because we want to. But having said that, I tell everybody, and it's first time on your program you mentioned, you all should be frustrated with the speed. I am. Keep after everybody that we have to go faster, because we'll run out of time. The country, it's now or never for America, and we have to show tangible results. So I'm with you on it, but understand that this is all part of it. Most of the time, Benny, people in positions of authority are in the past administrations hold back, and they don't want to say what we're saying. They don't want to be out there. It's a starting point, not enough, but it's a starting point. And I do think that Pam Bondi, I do think that the DOJ, the Judge Jeanine, everyone is in this hard, and they'll get to the bottom of it, and we'll do the right things, and it'll be accountability. So we're starting the process, so we got to do it. And I think it's a big deal that we're here, not just waiting, saying things like, oh, we'll examine things. No, we're going to get accountability, and it's going to come, and it has to come in more places than this. Part of the reason I was with Tulsi is because the weaponization docket, of which I'm now the director, we're looking at the weaponization of the 51 guys that signed the Biden letter. We're digging into that. I went into the SCIF and talked about some things that are classified that we're going after. I mean, we have a lot of work to do, and with partners like her and me and others, I just want to encourage people, track this, push us, be annoyed that it's not faster, but understand it's happening and we're at it, and it's because it's now or never. It's a now and never moment for America.
Wow. Okay, so here we go. Let's let me do exactly what you ask.
Yeah.
Why is James Comey's daughter still working at the DOJ? She works for you. She works for Pam Bondi. Why is she allowed to prosecute these massive cases that potentially could entrap the Clintons, Bill Gates, the Epstein case, the Ghislaine Maxwell case, and the Diddy case? There's no coincidences on this earth, Ed. I don't believe it. And so why is the proxy of James Comey allowed to still have the highest cases, and what many legal experts are saying are totally bungling, like the Diddy case right now? And it just seems like a bad idea, right? I don't know Maureen Comey personally, and I don't have anything personally against her, but it just seems a little too close to the problem here.
Well,
her dad's able to call for assassinations against the president, and she's able to remain gainfully employed by the DOJ.
Well, let me first, Benny, give you my history on this. When I became the U.S. Attorney in D.C., we got rid of anybody we could that touched J6 that was able to be let go immediately. That was something we had to do. Now there's all these kind of crazy rules. I mean, I wish we could change them. In fact, Tulsi and I talked about it today. You get hemmed in by the insanity. It's almost like tenure. If you're a government employee in certain sectors, you have this kind of almost tenure situation. So the first week I got rid of a whole bunch of people that we could get rid of under the law. And then I moved a whole bunch of the people out to other places. They screamed bloody murder, and then many of them quit. And you have to do this sort of this gamesmanship. I wish I could say it was different, but that's the reality you're under in this. And I think at DOJ, I'm no expert on Maureen Comey. I didn't know what cases she was on. I don't really know where in the system she is. I agree with you on how this certainly looks. Again, I didn't realize, but it's a process. And every single day, I was with Todd Blanche yesterday. He was counting through. They got everybody who worked on Jack Smith. Everyone who worked on Jack Smith cases is now gone. Now you say, oh, well, Ed, that should have been done day one. Trust me, Benny, they've spent 50 years building, barracks to try to lock themselves in. You're not beating the deep state. And again, DOJ and these places are the top level. If you're in the sticks, if you're in the U.S. Attorney's office in Missouri, you may be great. You might become the next Mickey Mantle. But if you're in D.C. and DOJ, you're a 5-tool player. And so we got to battle, and it's an everyday battle. And the good guys are winning every day. But it's not fast enough for me or you, and we're pushing. But we'll see what happens with her. I don't know that prosecutor, what case she's on. But before I switched out of my office, the DC U.S. Attorney's office, I took the time to send one more guy out and down into a spot because he didn't deserve to be representing the USA on key cases. And people screamed bloody murder. And my point was, that's what we have to do. So it's a process. It stinks that it takes so long, but you can't say don't do it or fight differently. You got to fight with what you got and then keep going and keep going and keep going. And we are in a race against time. That's why I say it's a now or never thing. You can't stop to give them an inch or a day because you got too much to do.
It just seems like the Southern District of New York obviously was such a problem. James Dennehy got fired. He threw himself a damn parade, Ed. I couldn't believe it. This is where Maureen Comey works. It'd be great to see her reassigned to Guam. I mean, yeah, great, fine, fantastic, and enjoy Guam, prosecuting, I don't know, beach case, building a hut on the beach cases. But it just makes no sense to me. And the Epstein thing has been such a thorn in the paw, right? And the destruction of evidence, the way that James Comey so willingly destroyed criminal evidence last night and then lied to the American public about it was just perfect for me, Ed. It was like, wow, this is how the guy operates. And maybe this is why there's no Epstein evidence left, right? Or maybe this is why it's so hard for a Pam Bondi or a Trump administration to get information about a January 6th bomber, the pipe bomber, It's like you can see how the operation works.
Look, let me jump in on that one. For you. The pipe bomber's out of my old office where I was U.S. Attorney. When I got briefed on it, I said, what are we doing? Basically, they did nothing for all 4 years of the Biden administration. Okay, so they sat around and sat on the case. And, people say, what did you do? Well, we put new eyes on the case. We demanded that they start questioning people. And that investigation, Benny, so that investigation is now about 3 months old because it sat for 4 years. And so we're picking up a 4-year investigation this late and going into it, and we're in the middle of it. We've got hot suspects. We've got more data. We're working on more phones, and we're actually running the case. Now you say to yourself, what the hell, Ed? Arrest somebody. Well, I'm just telling you, we're basically in month 3 of something that sat for almost 4 years or more than 4 years. And so unsatisfactory, unbelievable. Again, I talked to Tulsi Gabbard about that case specifically today, about some of the things that we know, about some of the participants in January 6th that have yet to be revealed, that were working in various parts of the government. We don't have enough transparency on that. Benny, one of the reasons why, Tom Tillis made a terrible mistake in blocking me. He said he was worried about January 6th. I say thank you, because now I'm in charge of weaponization of government, and all these things are coming out, and we're coming out hard. And I'll tell you this, I care less right now about who I can prosecute than I do about getting the truth out, because we can't do this fast enough. Prosecutions, they tie us up, and we'll get prosecutions, but they tie us up. I want to know now who did this stuff, right? I want to know who was there. People tell me, oh, the government wasn't involved in January 6th except a few agents. Prove it. Because I know every other setting where 500,000 or 1 million people gather, every law enforcement embeds somebody. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it, and they know it. We need to stop screwing around and get this out. And that's why I'm going next. For 3 months, 4 months, I've been beating the heck out of DC and the system to make it safer and to make people pay attention to what the priorities of this nation are. And now I'm done here. I've got to go over there and do it. And we just got to get after it.
It's rock star move, man. I can see why Trump wants you in this position, and we're really big time team Ed Martin. You just speaking our love language here on the J6 pipe bomber.
The language, hey Benny, the language is not enough, and I promise you, if I'm still talking and not doing, you come up and whack me like you do, and I appreciate it.
You're spitting fire, brother. Okay, so you're speaking my love language. If you wanted to unite both sides on a specific issue, right, the right and the left, then go after the single, absolute, bona fide terrorist on January 6th. I would totally agree with you that the guy who planted pipe bombs, or what looked like pipe bombs, at the DNC and RNC, that individual should be unmasked, and we should know exactly who he was working with, who he was on the phone with. Everyone agrees with this, Ed.
Yep.
So why the flip did this is bombshell stuff. So Biden didn't do any work on this. 4 years. They didn't try to find this single known terrorist on January 6th.
Well, look, it's even worse. Benny, it's even worse. If you go around the world and you say, it's like out of a movie, it's like a Tom Cruise movie. It's not like a crappy Comey book. It's like a Tom Cruise movie. If you say in the world, you say, in America today, there was a noose hanging from a scaffolding and people chanted, hang the vice president. And there were pipe bombs at the two major parties. It would sound like a full-on insurrection, like out of a movie, right? Except all of it was BS, meaning the noose was BS, the scaffolding was BS, the bombs were BS. So what was it? And again, we don't have all the answers, but you don't have to slap me upside the head and pretend I'm not awake. You can see what we got. And again, Benny, for our listeners at ProPublica, we say, if you hit a cop, you shouldn't hit cops, no matter how you got there. But having said that, we got something going on. And when a guy like Tom Tillis, Senator Tom Tillis, Republican of North Carolina, screams and yells at me and says, anyone who went in the Capitol that day was an insurrectionist, you step back and say, whoa. Liz Cheney's Unselect Committee and the media have put the hoax, the J6 hoax spell on a lot of people. But that doesn't mean we have to be, standing around saying, oh, that's too bad. We got to break the hoax. And so that's what we're doing every single day. And look, it's an information war as well as an accountability project, right? You got to have one with the other. And I'll say the last thing that made Tillis mad, he said, are you for reparations? And I said, sir, reparations is a term that the people use to be racist about slavery. What I am for is if you lock somebody up at 3+ years in jail on a lie, and you, Lisa Monaco and Merrick Garland, knew it was a lie, and you hammered them, you know what? They probably should get their car back. They should probably get their job back. They might need to get their military benefits back. I think they should get paid back for being destroyed by their government. And that's what I meant. And I think that's true. You tell the truth, everybody, all the warts, everybody, then hold them accountable, prosecute the hell out of them. And by the way, then pay people to get whole. And we should do it. We shouldn't be afraid. You want to pay J6ers? You're damn right I want to pay J6ers. If you got wronged by the government, then you should be made right. That's America.
There's a fund that's available for doing this, actually, when the DOJ goes and destroys someone's life and it's fraudulent prosecution, right?
Yeah, there's always been that fund is for when you, and there's a process to sue for it and all. I'm saying it's got to be faster than that. It's got to be realer than that. And I'm not against that. I'm just saying you're right. There is this process, and we've got to do that too. And there's a number of, I got a call today if somebody weaponized, you know the name if I told you, Benny, weaponized against him. Family's falling apart, might lose his home, and he's trying to get some compensation, and he deserves it, and he's getting stonewalled by the bureaucrats. And I said, well, that's why we've got this weaponization working group, is because we're going to pound the living hell out of the bureaucrats and get the right things done. I'm not sure I know if he deserves what, but he deserves an answer. I mean, in America, you deserve an answer, especially when you're the guy that was targeted, that was weaponized against you. So it's an important time, but it's a now or never moment, Benny. It's now or never for this country. I can't say that enough. You cannot shy away. Be pissed if it's not fast enough for you. I'm happy to take the heat, but understand we're at it every single day, and we got to keep going.
One of the last, and we're just so obsessed with this story, and we've covered every conceivable detail. It's so wonderful to have somebody who actually understands from the inside what's going on our show, because our last interview with Kash Patel, he told us everything on all of the lies of January 6th rest on the shoulders of the pipe bomber. And it has been something that has been an obsession for us since he told us that. So please, can you shed any more light, Ed, as to what was the op there? What was happening? What does your instinct tell you?
Well, I've got instincts and reading on what I've seen, or reading what I see and telling you what I think. I think that I was with somebody today. It wasn't Tulsi. It was someone else who said, "Well, I think the pipe bomb was Plan B." I said, "No, it wasn't. It was part of the whole plan. The plan was to have that be a dramatic thing." I actually don't think, based on my look at the bombs, that they were meant to kill. They were meant to be part of the op, the sort of a psychological operation. And look, I watched every single piece of the video before I got into government, looking at the person who walked around, where they walked around, how they looked, what they were wearing. I know you've used a lot of it and you put it up, but I've looked at that enough to know that this was not amateur hour, right? This was not somebody, a lone bomber. It was very sophisticated, which means you're dealing with something different than somebody who's disgruntled or wants to be dramatic. You're dealing with someone who's, and by the way, insofar as it's hard to find them, which it is, it has been, the data checks and all these things that, we're trying to do towers and looking at that means someone sophisticated. Normal people don't get away with, in the most surveilled city in the world, get away with that like this has happened. The masking, the covering, the outfit they had, this was not amateur hour, right? Again, so once it's not amateur hour, it's not real bombs, it's kind of a part of a psychological operation. We watched the media and the Congress, the Unselect Committee of Liz Cheney, work together to push a narrative. We watched the prosecutors hammer the hell out of the individuals with a lie, but also in a way that makes a narrative. You say, okay, there's something going on here. And I don't know that I think that the pipe bomber is everything, but it's certainly at the heart of it. When you find the pipe bomber, you're into who's running this thing. And I think that's what we don't know yet. But my instinct is it's not some standalone, kind of crazy. They just happened to do this in a way that could be used like that. I think it's clearly a part of the larger project, in my opinion, right now. And again, I'm not saying that definitive on the behalf of the government, but I am saying I've read a lot and seen a lot, read in on a lot of stuff. And again, that raises the stakes, by the way, that we got to get to the bottom of it. The country should be pissed that there were pipe bombs in key places anyway, but they should be certainly mad that on such a day that they're told to trust us. If you thought it was an insurrection, you damn well want to know who did the bombs, right?
Yes.
You'd be like, oh, that's the key guy.
Yes.
So it's all insanity that has to be pounded through, and we're going to do it.
It's amazing how you can really tell the game in the absence of who they wish to unmask. Liz Cheney, the Select Committee, the millions of dollars spent there, $30 million spent. They never once asked a question about the pipe bomber. Not once. Not once, man.
Exactly.
And then you bring it up, it's like saying Voldemort, right? Yeah. Like, to talk about them, right? And so some of our friends, Darren Beatty's been on the program, Julie Kelly's been on the program, talking at length, and it's just because of what you said here. You said you've reviewed the footage. Have you found that the government doctored some of the security footage of this pipe bomber?
I haven't seen that, but I will say, in defense of my video watching skills, I started out as a defense attorney for J6ers, so I was looking at the Department of Justice video, which was really tough to look at. It really stunk. And then I looked at the other, and so I'm actually not a great video watcher. There's a couple of paralegals that I have had work with me that are really good at looking through it and actually help me. I claim a lot of credit for another great mystery, which is the iconic image of that day is the gallows and the noose. And I'm the guy that was watching, hours of video and found, I call him Mr. Coffee, the gang of five. There were 5 people that built the gallows and the fake gallows and the noose at 6:35 in the morning on January 6th. And they left and came back at 1 o'clock with power tools and completed the project so that, the AP could take a photo of the Capitol with a noose and run the story that there were not only pipe bombs, but there was this noose. It was total nonsense. And we still don't know who that is, right? We don't have, and again, that may or may not have been a crime, although I can tell you, you're not supposed to build anything on the mall. I checked that out. There you go. You can see it on the screen. So, it's, I'm not a great video watcher, so I don't know to say that they're doctored, but I have some people that say we're missing pieces. I mean, again, we're down in the weeds here, Benny, but I know your listeners or your viewers are very sophisticated on this. There's like 44,000 hours of video. Only about 9,000 matter, right? The rest of it is empty hallways and all sorts of stuff. So, but 9,000 hours is a heck of a lot of time. So I think there's probably as much done with omission. Yeah, there's our guy. That's Mr. Coffee right there. You tell me we can't find that guy? Are you telling me in America, in 2025, we can't find that guy? I mean, we should be able to find that guy with just your program. Say, who knows that guy? And he changed his clothes, by the way. You'll see he's wearing a cool trench coat. I have to know.
Trench coat.
He changed his clothes at one point, switched his hat and all. And so, but again,
it's normal behavior. Yeah.
Well,
been to a lot of Trump rallies, Ed. I've been to like hundreds of Trump rallies. Sure. This is totally what a Trump supporter looks like. Yeah,
exactly,
totally.
Exactly.
Yeah, got it. They're wearing the FBI trench coat that they grabbed on their way out of Comey's office. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, obviously we can see why some of the more limp-wristed and low testosterone members of the Republicans in the Senate didn't want you in this position, Ed. But we're so very glad the way that God works. And now you are where you are, and we're so deeply supportive of you and want you to be successful. And so one final little piece of fake news that you made a ton of news with earlier in the week, talking about this fake world that we live in, whether it's pipe bomber or the nooses or maybe Joe Biden's auto pen. Is it legal for a president to do such heavy lifts in Article 2 with a computer and with his staff when the president he's not even in the country, right? When half these pardons are signed. Is this legal?
Well, Benny, just to say, President Trump is really, I admire him, but he's also very kind because the pardon attorney, which is what I am also, I'm serving as the United States pardon attorney, is a really unique spot, and you go back in history, even way back in the Federalist Papers, I think it was number 74. It turns out, I think it was Hamilton was writing about the power of the pardon is something that, can restore tranquility to the Commonwealth is the phrase that he used. It's a really unique thing. President Trump has done it well. He's been very careful. Alice Johnson is the pardon czar. Actually, she's in the White House, and she's someone who has a great story. It's a kindness, right? It's real. It's important, and it's in the Constitution. But I will say, and I've said it over and over, when something, as a prosecutor, when something is so unprecedented, it's a reason to take a look. It may not be probable cause to arrest people yet. It may not even be probable cause to subpoena things or to do sort of seizures. But when you see something that's outrageous and unprecedented, it's a reason to look. It's outrageous and unprecedented for Joe Biden to do these pardons for over a decade, blanket pardons, not blanket pardons as to when you did this, you're pardoned on everything related to it, which is normal. It's anything you thought of or did back for years and years and years. By the way, Comey has, I think Comey got a pardon. Forgive me if I forget, but if he got a pardon, what he did today is not covered by the pardon. What he did yesterday is not covered, just to be clear. So, but what I'm saying is this. When you see something so unprecedented, it looks like everybody who is touching a major scandal that may or may not have had corruption involved, COVID, Ukraine, they all got pardons. Hunter Biden got pardons. He touched China, all this. You say, wait a second, is there something going on here? And then you say the auto pen, where now, Jake Tapper is saying that Biden was so gone that they were clearly not paying, he wasn't running things. You start to get to a point where you say, was somebody manipulating things, right? We know these people like Anita Dunn and Ron Klain, and those people were dominant figures in Biden world. Were they the ones doing the pardons? And if they were, then we've got a question that we have to about the validity. So we're going to get into this. I value pardons so much, and I value our Constitution. We want to be respectful of the history, but we also want to make sure the conduct now was appropriate. And the combination of the auto pen and the unprecedented nature, and people like Jake Tapper now describing so clearly a diminished human being, there's some questions that have to be taken up, and we're going to do it.
Wow. Well, we're really looking forward to that, because I think, once again, so much of the weight of the Biden presidency rests upon whether he had a functional brainstem, and the DOJ, his own DOJ, said it didn't. He doesn't, which I just think is like totally missed on the American people. That his own DOJ said he wouldn't. No jury would convict him because they'd say he's gone. Well, it's crazy, actually. What a timeline like to be in. And so I guess nobody ever had to answer for that. And maybe now someone will have to answer. Nice to see. We look forward to this investigation, Ed. Anything else to share before you hop, man? Anything else that's cooking?
No, just plugging along. Thank you. I'm just grateful to be able to be part of what I think is a historic, Trump presidency. President Trump gives us a great vision for our country, and I just encourage your listeners to be. I keep using the phrase to folks. It's now or never. It's a now or never moment, and we have to realize that this is where we have to seize this opportunity. We have to just keep moving forward, and fight, as the president taught us and showed us. And I think we'll be really successful, or we'll continue to be more successful. So thanks for the chance to be on, Benny. I appreciate your work, and also your many followers and the people that watch your program.
It's bombshell stuff. If you are a follower of this program, you hop on over to Eagle Ed Martin's page right here. What an absolute G. And a literal Fed now. And he's somebody who's truly fighting for you. He's got 140,000 subscribers. And I think we can bump those numbers up. You can clearly see in this interview that he's the man who speaks the truth. And as you said, fight, Ed. Dude, like, we got to take these assassination attempts against our presidents seriously. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you. Right. Godspeed, Ed. We're with you, man.
Thank you. Thanks, Benny. All the best.
Hot damn. I can see. You can see why the biggest cucks in the Republican Party didn't want that man in charge. God has a plan. Really special. Really neat to see how things grow. Really neat to see how things change. Really neat to see the promise that God has, right? That he's going to protect us, and that things may not work out the way that we see him. But now Ed Martin is more powerful than ever, and you get Judge Jeanine. So that's pretty rad. How things grow. I'm watching my children grow. I'm watching our little backyard. Trees grow in it, thanks to Fast Growing Trees. Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery that exists in the United States, with thousands and thousands of plants and millions of happy customers. They have everything that you need to make your backyard tolerable in the summer. It is scorching out here in the summer in Tampa. You got to have a little shade. We have these nice little planters now in our backyard. Our backyard is like the size of a postage stamp. But we got these nice little planters, okay? Well, no matter the size yard, Fast Growing Trees has got you locked in. If your yard needs fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, many more. Whatever plants you're interested in, Fast Growing Trees has got you on lock. It's easy to find your dream yard. Their Alive and Thrive guarantee. Make sure that your plants arrive happy and healthy. And trained plant experts are there to make sure that they are thriving. This is a wonderful thing to do for your children if you have kids at home, or just if you want to embrace the beauty of God's growth and God's design. It's just wonderful to have plants and green around, right? It's good for the soul. As spring comes to an end here, make sure that you take advantage of their big deal they have going on here. 15% off your first purchase when you use the code Benny at checkout. It's an additional 15% off, fastgrowingtrees.com, using the code Benny at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com/Benny. Code is Benny. Right now is the best time to plan. Use Benny to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Fastgrowingtrees.com for more details. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, our key bombshell that we discovered this week with the help of soon to be our next guest, Liz Crokin, that there is a, like, lurking under the surface darkness to this Diddy trial that goes way beyond some of the more horrid things that we've learned about Diddy in the trial so far. So let me set the table here for what we're about to expose. Diddy has been a longtime political activist, way before this was in vogue. Diddy, for the last 20 years, I mean, the rancid, mandatory Democrat political activism from culture is somewhat of a new phenomenon. I mean, it really scaled in the last couple of years. Like President Trump really ratcheted up the scale of this kind of stuff, right? Diddy, though, was in on it, man. Diddy was one of the very first big-time cultural rap industry moguls who was brought in to agitate on behalf of the Democrat Party. Diddy has a long history with Democrats and Hillary Clinton. They're on camera together. I don't know if we have these as play besides climb, but let's pop them up, please. Thank you. Let's rock and roll, man. Diddy, Democrats. Let's just here's some good examples. Okay, here we go. Here's Diddy and the Democrats. Go.
Diddy, one of the biggest names in the music business, 3 Grammys, a long list of Billboard hits, and side ventures making him a billionaire. For 2 decades, Diddy was the Democrats' biggest black celebrity influencer. In 2004, Diddy spearheaded the Vote or Die movement at the DNC.
We're spreading a simple, urgent message. Vote or die. Yes, it's that serious. They used to joke around about us, say we were disenfranchised, we were too lazy to vote. On November 3rd, they won't be laughing no more. The youth of America will have the last laugh.
And Black America listened.
People said vote or die, and people voted because Puffy said vote or die. Vote or die.
You know, if he affected me, then he must have affected millions of us young black people.
I voted for Kerry just because.
Obviously, I voted for Kerry, so
I voted for
I want to make sure.
I
voted for John Kerry and John Edwards.
Well, I voted for John Kerry because simply, you know what I'm saying? John Kerry.
A really effective strategy here. How close was Diddy to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama? Well, I mean, close enough to be on camera with them, like a lot, like this.
Young people relate to, and we wanted to just hear the message on why you feel it's important for them to vote this year.
I really think that this year more than any other, young people have their entire futures at stake. And I believe your slogan, vote or die, is accurate.
When you want to be the president of the United States, you call your man, call MTV.
Thank you, and I just want to say how much I appreciate Puff Daddy for doing the kinds of work that he's doing, because he doesn't have to do this.
And I want to apologize for not sweating, but I do this so much. I'm so cool. I just want y'all to see everybody I'm interviewing is sweating. I'm not even touching my brow. I'm so cool. And I want to apologize. I ain't trying to make you look bad or nothing like that, but I'm just so cool.
We wearing a t-shirt. I tell you, if he was wearing one of those fancy designer clothes he's designing, he'd be sweating just like me.
My name.
Oh, I'm sweaty. I'm sweaty with Barack Obama. We'll get to the baby oil in just a second. It all ties together. So this was the trajectory of Diddy. He was being used as a tool of the Democrat Party. He was being used to siphon votes and to create a system where Democrats would hopefully be able to permanently be in control of this country. It's been a long plan, but it's called the tapestry of the dispossessed. Take all the disparate racial groups. You know, you live in a, sort of a multiracial, hodgepodge country, right? So take all the racial groups, tell them all they're victimized, get guys like Diddy to say, vote for John Kerry, and vote for literally a billionaire from Massachusetts, because that's the guy who represents you. Anyway, you cobble this all together, and you're able to completely and totally flip America against Americans, right? So this was the plan. Against America's founding, against America's principles, this was the plan, right? And then Democrats rule forever, because you're not going to be able to defeat that. The plan went horribly wrong when President Trump ran for office. But they deployed Diddy again. And they deployed Diddy to say that men like Trump specifically, and this is what gives it away, white men like Trump need to be banished. Just a reminder of how Diddy was continuing to campaign up until this last election. Here we go.
If this man is elected, we're not standing by no more getting killed. We're not scared of anybody standing up and standing by.
So
we're
smart.
On the verge of a race war. White men like Trump need to be banished. That way of thinking is real dangerous.
White men like Trump need to be banished. Let's fast forward to this week, shall we? President Trump is signing trillions of dollars of new deals with the Middle East, reshaping the world, ushering in world peace, literally. And Diddy is in court fighting for his life, with some of the most grotesque, sickening, and humiliating revelations, bombshells being dropped in those court cases. Some of them include Tootsie Roll-sized manhood. It's pretty embarrassing. And some of that include Diddy just being a cuck. It all stems from kind of what the major argument in favor of Diddy is that his cuck lifestyle, and this is what's coming out in the trial right now. Please pop up the articles. Let's go through them. What's coming up right now is that Diddy would hire Chippendales dancers, male performers, to go have sex with his girlfriends and friends, and he would sit in the corner and watch. Diddy's a cuck. Always had that kind of cuck, like creep energy, right? And he would use obscene amounts of baby oil. It's really creepy when you watch him and Obama. Hey man, I like how you're sweating. I like that. Well, Diddy clearly liked it. This is where all baby oil was about. That, and you can put date rape drug into baby oil. We have that actually on Deep Background. We've spoken with one of Diddy's bodyguards. We had a random run-in with one of the bodyguards who worked for Diddy, and he said, no, the baby oil was all about the date. You could put date rape drug in it, and then you could spread it on your body, and that's how you would get that drug into your body. That's how you drug people. So this was what that was all about. But anyway, the trial is revealing some of these grotesque claims, and they have Diddy's girlfriend at the time. Her name was Cassie, his longtime girlfriend, 10 years with Diddy, up on the stand. And she's copping to all of this, and she's describing just like real, like truly despicable acts that she was forced to do. And some of this has been public knowledge. We've read the filings, and people have learned about it, and Diddy has to sit there and cop to it. But it's one particular case, one particular adult performer who's caught the attention of this program, because this is a man, his name is Jonathan Odie, who told us all about this almost a decade ago. So 7 years ago, Jonathan Odie went and took a firearm to President Trump's property in Miami. It's called Trump Doral. And he shot that firearm at a chandelier in order to get the attention of Donald Trump, according to him. He got brought in for a police interrogation where he delivered a series of what at the time seemed like absurdist, nonsensical ramblings. Here's the News Nation coverage of what Jonathan Odie had said at the time. Go.
So in May of 2018, a man named Jonathan Odie opened fire at Donald Trump's Miami golf course and was shot and arrested by police. Now, Odie said that he was in the middle of a bipolar episode. That's where it gets interesting. Later, while being questioned by Florida authorities, Odie brought up something totally unexpected. He claimed that he'd been a sex slave for Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura. This video is courtesy of Real World Media. Take a look.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave.
So at the time, Odie's story seemed too far-fetched to believe, but not anymore.
Not anymore, because now we have the revelation that Cassie has identified Jonathan Odie as one of the men who Diddy paid to have sex with her. Trump club shooter who claimed he was Diddy's sex slave, and everyone thought this was insane when he said this in 2018, was hired by music mogul. Cassie testifies. So hold on. The core claim of this man's somewhat rambling 40-minute testimony that's on camera, you can watch it yourself. We watched it this week. He was telling the truth about probably the wildest claim that he was Diddy's sex slave. Turns out not only that, but Diddy paid him a $5 million NDA to shut up about it. Here's the article. Let's go through. So this is the man's mugshot. He doesn't look like he's in right mind here, obviously. He's in some type of medical psych ward outfit. And, we would never say, go shoot up Trump Hotel. Don't do that, obviously. Don't ever. There are ways to get your message out there, and you don't have to do that. But he went and shot the chandelier at Trump Hotel in order to get a message to Donald Trump. We're going to get to that in just a second. Scroll down, please. This is a courtroom sketch of Diddy as he's listening to this, as he's watching Cassie identify this man. Doesn't look pleased, and then please continue. There he is, and then here, this is who Diddy and Cassie are. This is a photo of them during this time period. Okay. So now this has all been confirmed. Here's Jonathan Odie without his mugshot. It's a different, and here they are. So now Cassie has confirmed that Jonathan Odie was telling the truth about being Diddy's sex slave. Whoa! Okay, that seems kind of massive. What else does he have to say? It made us ask the question. If you find someone in a little lie, it means they're lying about a bunch of stuff. Okay? If one story, if you're able to find one lie, then that kind of, the house of cards begins to fall. If you're able to find out one truth, even even if it's crazy, like I was Diddy's sex slave, and he paid me to have sex with his girlfriend, what else is he saying? If that's true, maybe he's telling the truth about everything. We looked, and it freaking blew our minds what we found. We'll play it for you here. Turns out that we should have been listening to Jonathan Odie the entire time in his deposition to the cops. Because what Jonathan Odie said is that in these intimate settings, and you can't get more intimate than that, I suppose, right? Slathered in baby oil, and remember, Barack Obama was sweating. Diddy loved that Barack Obama was sweating. Cuck Diddy would sit there on the phone during these sessions that allegedly, according to the court document, would last for days. And Cuck Diddy would sit there doing business and having conversations, and Jonathan Odie was listening to them and recording them. Jonathan Odie bought a surreptitious recording device. He says that he has it all on tape. That Diddy is a member of the Illuminati, a branch of the Illuminati for black performers and entertainers. That Hillary Clinton is also a member of the Illuminati, a satanic, pederast, animal sacrifice cult. This is what he says. I'll play it for you. This is not me making. I'll play you all the tape. But more importantly, and let's go to the next absolutely a claim that we can validate with certitude. That same group of Satanists are planning an assassination of Donald Trump. Now, this is tape from 2018, where Jonathan Odie is explaining truthfully that he is Diddy's sex slave. Nobody took him seriously at the time. And then he says that this group, this secret cult, is going to plan to shoot Trump on camera, just like JFK. Hold on. Is that two true claims that this guy made in 2018 that we now know to be true, but he seems like a prophet at this time? Have a listen.
So I took the American flag, I put it in the front desk, and I blew the chandelier. Basically, what I did that for is to transmit a statement to the American people and to Donald Trump that we're not accepting any more corruption and abuse from their system of France. Okay? Donald's still blind because he thinks that he let Hillary off the hook and she's okay. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm trying, okay. Keep going.
It ain't like that. The CIA and then they want to do the same thing that he did to JFK. Okay?
All right.
Why? Because they want the United States to fall. They've already been creating a state of chaos and confusion in the United States, and they want the United States to fall. Donald was against their agenda and won the presidency. Okay? He did get help from Russia. He did get help from the Saudis. He also got help from...
Okay. What Jonathan Odie says is that a group of Satanists that include Hillary Clinton and that run the country are going to assassinate Donald Trump on camera, just like JFK. Please, up, climb. Well, he made that claim in 2018. And then in the year 2024, that claim comes true. Just like JFK. President Trump was at a political rally, just like JFK. President Trump was outdoors, just like JFK. President Trump had Secret Service, very much the B team around him, the C team, D team, just like JFK. Just like with JFK, there were abhorrent security gaps that allowed President Trump to get shot. Just like JFK, there's a lone shooter who's a total loner and nobody knows anything about him. Don't ask questions, by the way, about who Lee Harvey Oswald or Matthew Thomas Crooks was. Just like JFK, President Trump got shot in the head. Just like JFK, President Trump is whisked off into a vehicle. And just like JFK, Donald Trump was a threat to this system, to these sickos who run the country, was about to turn the tables on them. Is Jonathan Odie telling us the truth? Well, if we find that Jonathan Odie has told us the truth about being Diddy's sex slave, which in 2018 would have probably been the most outlandish claim of all, and if he's telling the truth, and remember on the sex slave thing, Cassie, his girlfriend, has confirmed this in court. She said, yep, that's the guy. Yes, it's true. Everything yes, that's the man that Diddy paid to have sex with me. So that's true. He has the NDA. He has the payments. Apparently, he has the footage of all of this. Apparently, he filmed it all. Okay. And then Jonathan Odie makes this prediction that nobody would have made at the time, right? Nobody would have thought, I'm sorry, but like, you're not. I didn't think that JFK style like execution was possible today. I thought we're smarter than that. We have better Secret Service. How much money we spend on the Secret Service? Oh, $6 billion. Wow, there's no way. There's no way we're going to have an on-camera, live TV bullet execution like JFK. That happened in the 60s, bro. That was 70 years ago. No way. This can't happen. This is not a normal prediction. Today, you would have a today-style prediction for an assassination would be a drone or some type of like AI that takes over a computer and explodes, or you poison his McDonald's, right? It's deep, sophisticated, like spy versus spy stuff. Not like a nasty bullet fired from a loner from a rooftop, just like JFK. Just try not to yell. Makes my blood boil. Dude was telling the truth. Here are two things that he was telling the truth about. Okay. Well, if he's telling the truth about those two things, which seem to be the craziest, actually, and he was right. I mean, he's right. Then what else is he telling the truth about? Here we go. Here's Jonathan Odie saying that the Bushes and the Clintons, the Obamas, are the reason that they have power is because they're part of a child sacrifice, and a child abuse, and animal abuse cult. And it's satanic. They worship Satan. Here we go.
So, I know you may or may not, I know you're going to believe me. You have what's called the Illuminati. Illuminati. Okay. Yeah, Illuminati. Okay. They've made it in dance. Basically what it means, illuminated.
I got you.
Okay. They do satanic ritual abuse, which is basically CIA mind programming techniques to their own family, kids, etc. on the crew, and they bond that way. Okay, so they do sexual pedophilia, they do animal abuse, killing of animals, blood sacrifices, and everything in the Bohemian Grove. Okay, the Bohemian Grove, the Bushes go there. George Senior and George, both of them are in the same agenda. They cousins with the Clintons. Okay.
So it's a predator, pedophile cult that does child and animal sacrifice. And this cult is out to kill Trump because he's not one of them. What if all of the things, what if some of the darkest internal thoughts, right? Creeping thoughts late at night about who runs the world, understanding that we live in a world that is sunken, that is fallen. Satan, right, takes Christ up to the mountaintop and says, I can give you all the kingdoms of the earth. And I have the power to do that, right? Christ rebukes him for playing God, but doesn't rebuke that he has the power to do that, right? He doesn't rebuke that, right? King of the earth. What if all these people are Satanists? Like, what if they do use these type of predations to control people? What if that's what's going on here with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein and Hillary Clinton? Why is Hillary Clinton doing this to Harvey Weinstein's chest? That makes you wonder, like, this is what they do in public. What do they do in private? We're starting to learn a little bit more about what's going on in private. Jeffrey Epstein's, Harvey Weinstein's, obviously. Are they putting these people in prison? Are they killing and putting these people in prison because they know too much? You know, Harvey Weinstein will die in jail. That guy's, I'm not arguing they should be out of prison, but like, why so many trips to the White House for Jeffrey Epstein? He's on the White House visitor log like dozens of times. Bill Clinton then was on his jet 27 times that we know of. Yeah. Okay, well, Jonathan Odie, maybe he's telling the truth about some things and then he's just lying about the others. Is there any other independent source that we could check with who like would have absolutely no reason to lie about this because he worked for Diddy? In fact, it's like an embarrassing and horrible thing to admit in your profession. Yeah. One of Diddy's former bodyguards, he goes by Big Homie. He was on a show that we do from time to time, Piers Morgan. We like Piers. He asks honest questions. He brings on guests that are of interest. This one interested us. And lo and behold, in watching this interview from this week, Big Homie says, oh yeah, Diddy was controlling people through pedophilia. In fact, he matches the exact same words as Jonathan Odie. He describes the same thing Jonathan Odie is describing in lockup, in his deposition with the cops. I assume these two never even met each other. Jonathan Odie would know the intimate details of Diddy's life, given what he did to Diddy's girlfriends and what he was brought in for. And the bodyguard would know the intimate details because, well, he's the bodyguard. He sees it all. And here's what he had to say.
I mean, there's a lot of speculation about what he may have kept on tape. And I think you've talked about the fact a lot of these guys like to keep trophies, memorabilia, sort of
absolutely
souvenirs of their depravity, if you like. Just tell me about that briefly. I mean, was that part of the modus operandi for the freak-offs and everything?
Yeah, so what I'll say is throughout my career path, we may end up with a pedophile's phone. And in that phone, you'll see a list of trophies. And when it was announced that he had CCTV film cameras in the house, and when the Homeland Security did the initial raid they didn't inform the raiding officers whose home they were raiding because they had information that he might have been protected. And, you know, part of Epstein's thing was to get people in precarious situations, and then you have this footage that you can use against them to be able to have your way with champions of industry, and able to control policy. He does the same thing. So, you know, if you want to be able to seal a big deal, and there's a guy you know likes to party, it's easy to set that up. You know, you send a guy a screenshot like, yeah, man, you had such a good time with those 2 underage girls yesterday, man. You remember this video right here? That person is going to have some incentive to help you out in what you need them to do. It's the same. We've seen this over and over.
I've seen it over and over, he says. Well, wait a second. Why would a high-profile bodyguard know so much about a pedophile elite? It's expensive to pay a bodyguard. It costs a lot of money. It's an elite service. You have to be a big-timer to have professional bodyguards at your beck and call. And here he is. Here's that guy like saying, oh, yeah, this is what Diddy was doing. He was getting compromat. And he was into it himself. He was a cuck. He sat in the corner. He paid these guys. And so if you're like connecting the mosaic, it's really not that difficult, in fact. When you put all the pieces, if you lay all the pieces out and you put it all together, like Jonathan Odie was telling the truth. Find out for yourself. His deposition is available for anyone to see. You can go watch it. We just did the due diligence and went through, watched it, put some captions on it, but we didn't change anything that he said. So let's line it all up, shall we? Let's line up what we know. We know that Diddy is currently being prosecuted by James Comey's daughter, who, according to all legal representatives that I've seen come out of the courtroom, is totally bungling this, almost like throwing the case for the government. Makes me think that this is an op, in fact. Like the prosecution of Diddy is a cover-up op. In order to, they nabbed Diddy and they got him off the table before like a Cash Patel or a Dan Bongino would have done like the actual real investigation into Diddy. Because the real investigation into Diddy is, who was in Intel that was running him? Who invited him into the Predator cult, the satanic cult? Who got him started in all this? What is his connection to Hillary Clinton? Boy, they look really friendly together. Diddy's been out making all these campaign stops for Democrats. Who inspires that? Is it because of protection? Because they give him protection? Diddy was wrapped up and brought into the Southern District of New York. Same prosecutor that prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, Maureen Comey. Weird. Do we trust James Comey? He just said he wants to assassinate the president, so no. You'd assume his daughter and him would be pretty close. Seems like a massive cover-up operation. Seems like we should start asking questions here. And when you ask questions, you look at the evidence, you see that Diddy's girlfriend of 10 years, who's testifying right now, confirmed that Jonathan Odie is a real person and he was really paid to have sex with her at least 15 times. Then he got a $5 million NDA to shut up. Why would he shut up? Well, Jonathan Odie went to the police and told them about this, and then told them about the Trump assassination attempts. He said it on camera, and he was right. He was right about both things. He was Diddy's sex slave, and and Donald Trump was going to be assassinated by a satanic predator cult. Now that's the next step. So if he's right about these things, then if he was telling the truth about the two most outlandish claims, is he telling the truth about the next claim, which is that the people behind the assassination attempt is a satanic predator cult? Link that up with what we learned about Jeffrey Epstein this week. Jeffrey Epstein this week had got James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe was able to gather some evidence on Epstein, and he says he has so much more. James O'Keefe is saying that there's individuals inside the federal government that are leaking evidence on Epstein. And we've just seen little breadcrumb trails here. So Jonathan Odie is saying that Hillary Clinton and the Clintons are in this sex predator satanic cult. Bill Clinton was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, traveled to Little St. James. That's what the documents show. The victims are on victim statements saying that they saw Bill Clinton on the island. Well, what was on the island? James O'Keefe released a video this week of Jeffrey Epstein's kitchen. That kitchen included a photo of a little baby in a sink. This is the photo. Yeah, it's sick. Yeah, it's really sick. It's a naked baby in a sink. We're going to do our best here. The face has been blurred. Behind that baby is artwork. Now, this is a piece of artwork that was hanging in Jeffrey Epstein's kitchen on Little St. James, Predator Island. That special little temple there. What's the temple about? This is a Picasso. Sold for $38 million last time it was up for sale at Sotheby's. This Picasso, which is called Les Sauvages, is about saving an innocent person from drowning. It's hanging right above a baby inside of the bathwater, inside of a baby in an overflowing running sink. Does it mean something? Well, it always does, doesn't it? This was the island that Bill Clinton went to. What does this mean exactly? James O'Keefe released another piece of Jeffrey Epstein's property on this island. Video of the library. Inside of that library was a book about satanic passages. Pretty interesting, along with some other satanic iconography and artwork. Here's some of what James found inside of the library.
Today we release more never-before-seen video and images from inside Jeffrey Epstein's former island home, showing bizarre statues and a cryptic message written on a chalkboard by Jeffrey Epstein himself. The Jeffrey Epstein Island, also known as Little St. James in the Virgin Islands. Last time we took you inside the kitchen to show that really creepy image of a baby in a sink. YouTubers have snuck on the island. Luke Radowski, Tyler Olivier getting images of the outside of the structures. But today we're going to take you inside the structures, inside Jeffrey Epstein's library. We're going to take a closer look. Now, this has never been seen before. We are now inside the library. Dozens of books line the walls, including literature like Ernest Hemingway's Selected Letters, vacation reads such as Robert Ludlum's The Bourne Ultimatum, denser titles like The Golden Age of Theoretical Physics, and Salman Rushdie's Satanic Verses. Now, a closer inspection revealed unusual objects, statuettes of winged figures in plague masks, and one of a semi-nude young woman washing herself while seated on a bidet. Video and photos inside the library also show a horse whip, which is right here under the chalkboard, apparently crafted from leather and bones. And then we go to this chalkboard over here. Now, this chalkboard displayed cryptic words, including the word power, deception, mirror in face, dank brain, among others. Now, the chalkboard's message remains a mystery. And
please head on over to James's site, OMG Media, and go ahead and support James. He's doing great work. What does the chalkboard writing mean? What do we now understand about Diddy in this entire operation based on Jonathan Odie's testimony? What about these creepy artwork, hangings and paintings throughout the lives of these elites, the Podestas? This is what the Podestas had up on their art, up on their walls. Headless children, children being carted off by demons. I just want to get to that. Let's get to this tweet. That right there, Jake Shields' tweet. Because this is what I want to talk to Liz about. There you go. Let's go to the final image in this, shall we? I want to show you what these people did. This was a piece of art hanging on the Podestas wall. If you're unfamiliar with who the Podestas are, they're like the kingmakers of the Democrat Party. They work in every Democrat administration. It's been like that for 20 years. The Podesta brothers run Democrat lobbying in Washington, D.C. These are the people from like the pizza parties and hot dog parties and the Podesta emails and so on. These are demons carting off innocent-looking children wearing brightly colored pajamas as they scream. They have the kids in cages. This is a real kid. This should have been the real kids in cages scandal in Trump's first term. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. And I got to tell you, man, we believe Liz Crokin. She's been talking about this stuff for a very, very long time. And everyone discounted her, much like Jonathan Odie. Everyone said, she's a crackpot, she's crazy. Liz Crokin, there's no way this is all true. I mean, sure, they hang this kind of art. It's just like a normal piece of art. Oh, this is just a normal temple. Just a random normal temple, you know? Just a normal painting that you should have up. George Bush in a childlike pose with 2 planes and Jenga towers. Bill Clinton in a blue dress. You know, this is just the kind of normal stuff that you hang on your walls. Liz Crokin has been an independent and investigative journalist who's been on this, ladies and gentlemen. And we've been following her for a very long time. She's joining the show in just a moment. Before we get to Liz, I just want to tell you, like, for shows like this and for moments like this, make sure that you have yourself locked in to a cellular device run by a company that's Christian. We feel like taking a little bit of a baptism, like a little bit of a shower after doing these pieces. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. I know these guys. They really believe what they say. They truly, earnestly have Christian principles and have a company that is based on not only our first principles here in this country, like freedom of speech, but also putting God first. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we've said many times before, this show operates and uses as a backbone Patriot Mobile. They're available on the country's largest mobile device networks, and you should use them as well. Make sure you're not funding some of the worst people on earth, pushing some of the worst ideologies on earth. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny, call 972-PATRIOT for a free month of service with the promo code Benny. Make the switch and defend freedom with every single call or text you make. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT. Ladies and gentlemen, when we want the truth, we're going to call the people who have been saying it for a very long time, and that would be Liz Crokin. Here we go. Liz, welcome to the program. It's an honor to have you.
Hi, Benny. Thank you so much for having me on. This is really important information that we need to be talking about in light of the Diddy trial and the Jeffrey Epstein files, hopefully coming out one of these days. It's really important for people to understand that what these elites are involved in goes, unfortunately, way beyond child sex trafficking. These people, as you explained in your fantastic monologue, are involved in satanic rituals, and a lot of them not just worship Satan, but they engage in the satanic ritualistic abuse of these children who they are trafficking.
So, we do our very best to have a PG-13 show here, and we're going to try and stay that way during this interview. But I want to just set the table for the audience here and say that Liz has been a calling out from the wilderness about this for the better part of a decade, at least, and perhaps more. And just like the deposition of Jonathan Odie, that seemed like a crazy crackpot thing to say back in 2018, but has been proven right again and again and again. It's like some people just are able to see some dark truths that maybe the rest of us don't want to. And so I would just want to take a step back, Liz, because you're the expert, and explain what we learned this week about Cassie, Diddy, Jonathan Odie, and maybe expand that world for us.
Absolutely. So you want to start with Jonathan Odie?
Yeah, why not go there?
Okay, so Jonathan Odie, as you explained earlier, so he is the person that went to Trump Doral in Miami in 2018. And I'm sure you saw the footage of him at the hotel, and he went there with an American flag, and he draped the American flag at the front desk in the lobby. And then he was running around with a handgun. And in the footage, you can see he's kind of sloppy. He's kind of like this cartoonish character. He trips twice. Like it literally looks like a sketch from Mr. Bean. And of course, he was arrested. He was involved in a shootout, and he was arrested by police. And then he was interrogated by police. And that video was made public years ago. And in that video, he said that he did not intend to hurt anyone. He went to Trump's hotel because he was trying to warn President Trump about Diddy, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. And he said that he was one of Diddy's sex workers. Now, he claims that these people are members of the cabal. They're involved in satanic rituals, including pedophilia, the animal abuse, dark satanic rituals. And he said that they are plotting to kill President Trump. And we all know that years later, they attempted to assassinate President Trump. So, of course, he was right about that. So, as you mentioned earlier, at the time when this video came out, everyone just thought this guy was nuts. Nobody believed him. He was completely dismissed, right? Well, the bombshell that happened this week is that Cassie Ventura, who is Diddy's ex-girlfriend, she's been on the stand all week, and she took the stand today as well. She confirmed that Jonathan Odie indeed was one of Diddy's sex workers. So when he said in his interrogation video that he was one of Diddy's sex workers, and he said he was more of a sex slave, he was telling the truth. So now we have to analyze everything else he said, because if he was telling the truth about that, maybe we should believe him about the other stuff. In terms of his claims that they're all involved in some kind of an Illuminati club where they engage in satanic rituals. Let me just start off with Diddy. So Diddy, he's had several people accuse him of conducting satanic rituals, and some of them have done it on the record. So I'll go back years ago. There was a blind item in Crazy Days and Nights that said that Diddy was on a yacht somewhere, I think in Italy, off the coast of Italy years ago. And he instructed one of his staff members to go get a live goat. They brought the goat to the yacht, and allegedly he sacrificed this live goat in a satanic ritual on the yacht. Fast forward to last year, there was a docuseries that came out where a former security guard for Diddy went on the record, and he said that when Diddy was on the way to the trial for his 1990 nightclub shooting in New York, when he was headed to hear that verdict, he had his security team stop in Central Park on the way to the courthouse. And when he got to Central Park, he met with a man, and they engaged in some kind of satanic ritual where he killed a bird. So there have been people that know Diddy that claim they have seen him engage in satanic rituals. So again, going back to Jonathan Odie, his claims don't sound so crazy anymore, do they, Betty?
Well, when he says that they're going to kill President Trump like JFK, that was unthinkable. I mean, I know that it's now, I know the past is prologue, so we now are like, wow, he got shot in Butler. But at the time, even when that news broke, it was unthinkable. You don't assassinate presidents like the old dirty old-fashioned way, right? Lone gunman on a rooftop at a live rally. That's not the way that this happens. But Jonathan Odie said it will happen just like JFK. And I was like, well, he's right. He predicted this. I would have thought, okay, so Liz, if you would have said on July 12th, the day before the assassination on President Trump, how would they kill Trump? I'd say drone, maybe like a dirty bomb, like you poison his food, spy versus spy stuff, right? You're real sophisticated. And this dude straight up said exactly how they were going to kill Trump. And it's like, where'd he get that exactly? So can you? So this Diddy trial obviously is unlocking stuff that I would have never seen. So what else have we learned in this trial?
Well, and I just want to add, in terms of the assassination attempt, he also talked about CIA mind control, and which is, MK Ultra would be a form of mind control that the CIA conducts, and that's been proven to be true through declassified materials that have been released over the years. That Project Monarch, which was a CIA mind control program, was real, right? So he talked about CIA mind control as well, but he also talked about predictive programming. And what the deep state does is that the deep state, the members of the cabal, whatever you want to call them, because they're Satanists, and this isn't what I believe, but this is what they believe. They believe in truth in plain sight, and they believe that they have to announce their plans before they commit them. And even if it's just through TV shows or their art or music, they believe that that's what they have to do. So if you look at a show like The Simpsons, people are like, oh my gosh, how did The Simpsons predict so much stuff? And it's like, well, no, actually, that's part of their predictive programming. They are announcing their plans in advance. And they believe that if they announce them through pop culture and people accept that, then that's a ritual for them, and they can justify it that way. And so that's what these people do. So Jonathan Odie also talked about that, and he talked specifically about how they were kind of preparing the masses for President Trump's assassination attempt. And he specifically mentioned Donna. Now, do you remember years ago, after President Trump was elected the first term, she got on stage and at some kind of protest against Trump, and she called for President Trump to be killed. I believe she said that they should bomb the White House. He specifically mentioned that. So when they do this predictive programming, they're kind of preparing the masses, and they're also trying to get the masses to accept their plans in advance. And to them, it's a satanic ritual.
So, and you're exactly right. She said blow up the White House, and he mentioned that. Okay,
well,
so
and there were many celebrities that called for the killing of Trump. And then, of course, we all know what James Comey posted on his Instagram page yesterday, who is now being investigated by the FBI. So that wasn't too smart of him to do.
Yes, exactly. All the more reason to throw the total book at James Comey and hopefully him in the slammer. So staying on Diddy, can you answer a question for me? So we've covered a bit on the show, sort of up to this point. What I've learned, and I've learned a lot of it through your X feed. But here's something that I don't know, and I can't figure it out. Why is this happening to Diddy? Did he stop being protected? Like what ends up happening with the Weinsteins and the Epsteins and the Diddys? Like what's going on? My instinct, Liz, and I'm no expert, but is that they're doing a mop-up operation. They put James Comey's daughter over it. She's apparently bombing at this trial, and they're not really like sticking. Nothing's really sticking, and they're able to like almost sanitize these charges against him and let him off, maybe with like a slap on the wrist. But what do I know, right? Why did this happen? About a year ago, the raids on Diddy started happening. Why?
So, okay. Historically, when we've seen high-profile people, celebrities fall, R. Kelly would be one example. Harvey Weinstein would be another example. A lot of people believe that they use certain people in Hollywood as sacrificial lambs to protect the bigger fish. And I strongly believe, specifically with R. Kelly, that that's what they did to him. So what R. Kelly did was horrific. He was abusing women. He was trafficking women. He was raping women. He's a monster. But he was very good friends with Jay-Z. Now, there's evidence that Jay-Z was behind his fall, because Jay-Z has funded a woman that was behind the series that exposed R. Kelly, Surviving R. Kelly. He was funding that. So I do believe that some of these celebrities will throw another celebrity, including their friends, under the bus to protect themselves. Now, in terms of Diddy, I do believe that what Diddy's pals and his co-conspirators, I do believe their intention is for him to be another sacrificial lamb, such as Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly. With that being said, I do know that there are a lot of good guys that are working in law enforcement and are in the judicial system, in the FBI, the NYPD, and I do believe that those two forces are at odds. I don't think that Diddy is going to be a one and done. I do not think that he's going to be a sacrificial lamb. I believe that's the intention. I don't believe that's going to be the outcome, and here's why. There's been, I think, over 70 lawsuits, civil lawsuits that have been filed against Diddy. And one of the most explosive ones was filed by Lil Rod, okay? In many of these lawsuits, there has been evidence included that has implicated other high-profile celebrities in crimes. And so since there's been so much exposure, especially through these lawsuits, and in addition to that, during Diddy's criminal trial just this week alone, we've heard many names get mentioned. So I think as much as they will try to make Diddy the sacrificial lamb and try to get everyone else off the hook, I think that the public is too awake. I think, Trump's back in office. We have Cash as the head of the FBI. They are making combating child sex trafficking a priority. President Trump's team, they are going after and deporting the lower level sex traffickers, the gang members, the cartel members, the MS-13 members. And people have to understand these are the kinds of people who worked for Diddy. Diddy's ring was massive. The lower level people that are actually trafficking the children in rings such as, or I should say allegedly, rings allegedly such as Diddy's and Jeffrey Epstein's, the people that were on the ground doing the trafficking, those were the MS-13 members, the cartel members. These are the foot soldiers for the deep state. Well, what is President Trump's administration doing? They are getting rid of the lower hanging fruit. They are deporting them. They are arresting them. And I'm sure many of them are talking. And when you have a RICO case and when you take down a huge criminal enterprise, you have to start at the bottom. You have to start at the lower hanging fruit, which I see happening right now. And then you work your way up to the top to the bigger fish. And the other thing that I will mention that a lot of people don't understand, and General Flynn has mentioned this as well, and I know that General Flynn goes on your show all the time, and you really admire and respect him. General Flynn has said, and I strongly believe this too, that Diddy's ring was involved in the sex trafficking of migrant children. And one piece of evidence that would support this is that one of Diddy's bodyguards purchased a property on the in California on the California-Mexico border. And it's like, why would they be so interested in a property on the border unless they had the intention to do nefarious activity? When these children cross the border, a lot of them come alone. Who's picking them up? Why would an associate of Diddy want a property on the border unless they're interested in trafficking? Not just drugs, children.
Yeah, I highly doubt it's for sheep herding.
Exactly. And these are elites, I've seen this border property, not in person. I've seen photographs of it. These are elites. They love, their lives of luxury. They love yachts. They love, 5-star hotels. This is a property that, it's not a high value property. It's kind of like it has a desert vibe and there's not much there. And, it's in the middle of nowhere. Like, why wouldn't Diddy associate be interested in that? And as we all know, Biden's administration was involved in trafficking migrant children. We have hundreds of thousands of missing migrant children. We have whistleblowers who have come forward and said that it was Biden's Homeland Security and Health and Human Services that was knowingly trafficking children. And a lot of these children were put on private jets, which was reported years ago, including by the mainstream media. They were put on private jets that were off the books, by the way. They're totally off the books in the middle of the night. Some of these private jets were flying to very wealthy areas where elites live. Now put 2 and 2 together with that. So we know the Biden administration used the government, our taxpayer dollars, to traffic children. We know that Diddy allegedly is involved in sex trafficking. And we know that these high profile Democrats are close with people like Diddy. So it's like, it's very easy to connect the dots here to see what's going on. Diddy's ring is much bigger than people realize. I do believe it was massive. I know it was linked to Jeffrey Epstein's ring as well. I do believe it involved intelligence agencies. I do believe that, well, I know Diddy was tied to the CIA, the feds, and, you know, people like Diddy, Jay-Z, they have everyone in their back pocket. These people, they will pay off judges, they will pay off police officers, they will pay off coroners to list a death that was obviously a murder as a natural cause. Look at the footage from the Intercontinental Hotel where Diddy beat the crap out of Cassie. Everyone has seen that video. He did it in a hallway there. It's not like it happened in his private hotel room. He beat the crap out of her in a hallway there. They showed photos in court this week of the mess that was left after that. He threw a vase at her. I mean, it was a complete disaster. There had to have been several people at that hotel who were employees of that hotel who either saw the tape and or were involved in the cleanup of that situation, because it was a hotel staff that had to clean up that mess, right? So that's several people that knew Diddy beat the crap out of Cassie, who did not go to cops, who did not go public, who did not go to the media. They all stayed quiet. Now, why would they stay quiet? Because people like Diddy will pay all these people off. And unfortunately, most people take money.
Can you zoom out on one specific topic that you just touched on, which is what, and I have my priors on this, but I'd love to hear you talk about it. What is the usefulness, what is the motility of a Diddy ring and a Diddy operation like this to the deep state, to the CIA, to the feds? Why would they protect him? You just described major protections. I mean, listen, when you're doing this kind of stuff on camera, when you're getting away with it on camera, you're talking like the highest possible level of protections. So easy to get that footage. A single lawsuit, a single hard drive, a single flash drive could get you that footage, no problem. Destroys everyone. Like everything comes crashing down, right? But they were able to cover that up beyond the statute of limitations, right? The LA Police Department says, can't do anything about it, right? That's some real protection. It seems like protection from like way up high. So you have to assume that it's the feds. And you just mentioned that it was the CIA. And so talk me through that relationship. What do they get out of it?
Well, okay, so these rings have many different incentives, right? And there's many different layers to them. So when you look at Diddy's ring or Jeffrey Epstein's ring, at the top, they were involved in sex trafficking. When you go lower and you go deeper, then you realize it's not just sex trafficking. These people are involved in satanic rituals. When you go deeper than that, you realize the reason why they're running these sex trafficking operations is to blackmail people. How do you control people? How do you control a powerful individual who has a ton of influence, whether that is an elected official or, a pop singer or whoever? Well, you blackmail them. So when you look at Diddy and Epstein, they both were videotaping everything that happened in their homes at these parties where crimes were committed. So the incentive would be to have blackmail footage on other celebrities and politicians. So then the powers that be, the deep state, the CIA, the intel agencies, the feds, whoever, then they can control those people. You don't vote this way, then we're going to release the video of you, you know, at a freak off party, or we're going to release a video of you with a child, you know, or, you know, to some of these celebrities in Hollywood, if you don't do a video telling all your followers that you must take the vaccine, well, then we're going to release, you know, your video from Jeffrey Epstein's island. Blackmail is what rules the world. And unfortunately, there's so many people in Hollywood and many people in government, many members of Congress who are blackmailed. And that's what Diddy's operation really was about. And that's what Jeffrey Epstein's operation was really about. We know Pam Bondi said the other day, they're going through tens of thousands of videos. Now, think about that. Jeffrey Epstein, his operation went on for almost 3 decades. He had cameras wired in all of his homes, not just the island, Benny. He had multiple homes. He had the Manhattan home. He had the Zorro Ranch where he was raping victims, including children as well. He had cameras in all these homes. It was 24-hour surveillance. Benny, Jeffrey Epstein even had cameras in the toilets at his home. Think about that. So Pam Bondi's team is having to go through almost 30 years of blackmail footage from multiple homes.
We've read about this stuff, and it's disquieting to the spirit, and it's really tough to talk about, and we believe that it's a service, like to greater understand what's happening at this Diddy trial and greater understand what's happening with Epstein, which we talk about all the time. You sort of have to stare evil in the face. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to close with this, Liz. Do you believe that President Trump can combat this evil? Do you believe that the American public can even stomach the reality about what's been running their country? Mm-hmm. Because there are still so many people who have sort of glassy doe eyes about this place being, you know, land of the free, home of the brave, and right. You know, a Christian nation. I believe that it still is, actually. It's just we have a very sick and demonic leadership class, and perhaps the exposing of those people would be the punishment in and of itself. But I feel like maybe we have a historic moment here to do that, and that President Trump may well have the proper motivations to get it done. Do you believe that?
Absolutely. You know, I worked in the mainstream media actually for 2 decades, and I used to cover The Apprentice. And so I started covering President Trump, you know, long before he became president. And I've known him and his family, and I've covered them for many, many years. And in 2016, I started covering the election, and it became very clear to me very quickly that, in my opinion, the main reason President Trump ran is because he knew these elites were involved in the rape, torture, and trafficking of children. And I am confident that is the main reason he ran, to end it once and for all. Now, back in 2017, after he was first sworn in, within 2 or 3 weeks of him, you know, of his first term, he actually gave a listening session where he said that he was going to combat child sex trafficking like it's never been done before. And guess what? That is exactly what he did during his first term. Now, the mainstream media didn't cover it, but he took down Backpage. He's the reason why Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were arrested. He took down NXIVM. He was arresting a ton of these lower level sex traffickers, many of the MS-13 members, the CJNG cartel members who were trafficking children. Many of them were arrested during his first term. Actually, I am very confident that President Trump ran to combat child sex trafficking and to break up these elite pedophile rings and to end them. And he started the job during his first term. And I'm very confident that he will finish the job his second term. But he needs the public behind him. And the way that we can make sure that Diddy is not just another sacrificial lamb, that he's not another one and done, is by people like you shedding light on this, and by the public demanding that no, it can't just be Diddy who's arrested, who is, convicted. It has to be every single person in his ring that was involved with trafficking women, men, and children. We have to demand that. And the way that we demand that is exposure by people like you talking about this stuff. It's dark, it's horrific. And as you mentioned, it is hard for people to stomach. But what I would say about that is too bad, tough. How do you think these children feel? How do you think these children, some of these children are passed around like dozens of times in one day. Most of them do not survive more than 6 to 12 months tops when they are trafficked. So I don't want to hear about anyone complaining that it's too hard to hear about this stuff, or it's too dark, it's too depressing, too bad. How do you think these kids feel? And because so many people have turned a blind eye to this, or they don't want to hear about it because it's depressing, because so many people have done that, this has continued to go on. So people just need to toughen up, and they need to understand that this is real, and they need to get in the fight. Because if we are going to ensure that this ends once and for all, and everyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's ring and Diddy's rings is brought to justice, everybody needs to get in the fight, and they need to get loud, and they need to do what they can in their communities to combat this.
Everyone can sit there, Christians can sit there and read about Sodom and Gomorrah. It's tough to realize that you're living in it, right?
Yeah.
And so this stuff, it does exist in the Bible. It's something that is constantly being fought over, darkness versus light, and it's what we wish to do on this program. It's actually a service, hopefully, to the nation and to my children, to our children, because you don't want to live in a place run by a satanic cult. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to fight the good fight, go follow Liz. Here's her X account. She has 500,000 subscribers. And, well, I have a feeling that we can get her to millions. Liz does speak the truth, and she does it so boldly, it's just impossible to ignore. Liz, Godspeed, and you're doing God's work, bringing light. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Benny, for, covering this topic. I know it's difficult to cover, but courage is contagious. And so I really appreciate it. And, I hope that you inspire others to get in the fight, because if we aren't fighting to protect our children, then who are we as humans? We've just failed. The human race has failed if we can't even protect children. So God bless you.
Yeah. And
you keep up the good fight.
Your cover image pick goes really hard, because as we played last week, this is the one club that Jeffrey Epstein was ever kicked out of, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So the one guy that had the balls to kick Jeffrey Epstein out of his club was Donald Trump. And he banned him on the spot when he heard about Jeffrey Epstein and just the rumors of Jeffrey Epstein with young girls. Trump did it, and he never looked back. So God, pray for President Trump. Pray for the truth tellers. Godspeed, Liz.
You too. God bless you, Benny. Thank you.
I said that this would be a dark and tough show. Sometimes we have people like Jocko Boyens, and we have people who were Epstein victims on the program. We don't wish to bring like darkness or doom to people's timelines. We wish to bring light. But in order to get light, you must first defeat darkness. The world is sunken into darkness, and you have to be able to expose it. And actually, that's the punishment. Dragging it into the light. Kicking and screaming and shrieking. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it without fear. And we're just thankful for you, whether it's Ed Martin, right, doing his job inside of the federal bureaucracies, or it's Liz doing her job, exposing this from the outside. It is our service to you and to our children, and to your children if you have them, your grandchildren if you have them, perhaps your unborn children if you're young and watching. We have huge young viewership base. This is our service to protect this country for the next generation, which is the number one motivation of this show. The only real motivation of this show. Like, wait a second, are you going to leave the country in a worse place? Oh, okay, let the satanic predator cult take over. Are you going to leave the country in a better place? Okay, put all those people in prison, please, for the rest of their lives. Let's do that. Huh? Cool. All right. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure we have some very interesting Ask Bennies from this week. We have other wild and interesting news. It's gonna be it's gonna be a fun time. Cash Patel says he's moving the FBI building out of DC. Just why not play this clip as like a palate, maybe a palate cleanser, or maybe it has maybe this clip is directly connected with what Liz just talked about. I'll let you decide. Cash Patel will move the FBI out of Washington. Wow. The J. Edgar Hoover building is going to be closed and turned into a museum of the deep state. Let's go.
Look, the FBI is 38,000 when we're fully manned, which we're not. In the National Capital Region, in the 50-mile radius around Washington, D.C., there were 11,000 FBI employees. That's like a third of the workforce. A third of the crime doesn't happen here. So we're taking 1,500 of those folks and moving them out. Every state's getting a plus up. And I think when we do things like that, we inspire folks in America to become intel analysts and agents and say, we want to go work at the FBI because we want to go fight violent crime and we want to get sent out into the country to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing. In the next 3, 6, 9 months, we're going to do that hard. And, I didn't know that I was going to do this, but I'm going to announce it on your show anyway. This FBI is leaving the Hoover building because this building is unsafe for our workforce, and we want the workforce.
You just gave up a big nugget
we want the American men and women to know, if you're going to come work at the premier law enforcement agency in the world, we're going to give you a building that's commensurate with that. And that's not this place.
Nothing ever happens. Shut up. Shut up. Good for you, Cash. That's just freaking baller. Wait and see. Wait and see. We know some things are going to happen, and they're going to be pretty awesome. We're speaking with people, man. We're speaking with people. And we're speaking with you. And we know that this is what you want. And we are going to deliver that. Because why? We love you. Because we love the chat. We love the chat. Here we go. Ask Benny anything, plus some super chats. Let's rock and roll. Juiced! What up, Juiced? Griffin! Should President Trump open a new USAID to deliver U.S. aid to the United States cities and U.S. potholes? Yes, Juiced. It's a great idea. How about you open up... Man, I'm going to... Dude, I'm going to steal that. You open up USAID for the United States only. It's a great idea. Yes, Juiced. Thank you. I'm stealing that. Anna Soto. Saw you guys were having issues with your power. Looking to install an inline generator. My husband and I are based out of Central Florida. He's an electrician and engineer who can help figure that out for you. Klein's like, yes. Klein's like, yeah, do that. Here's Killer Klein right here. Klein's like, do it. Klein's been working on the generator all week. Do it. Let's go. Killer Klein cameo. Would you do some Benny on the Blocks with the great state of Oklahoma and places like Oklahoma State University or University of Oklahoma? Absolutely. Timothy Zanner. I would love to do that. We'd have some Benny on the Blocks coming out from California. The issue with travel for us, and we will be in D.C. next week. We'll be at the White House next week. It's going to be really fun. We'll announce more in the coming days, and we're going to be doing a lot. We're going to, as we've been telling you, we're going to ramp up our operations. The travel, I just hate being away from my kids. I don't know. Maybe this seems like a pretty boilerplate excuse, but I just don't like it. I also hate being away from you. Like when we're in the studio, we're able to let it rip. Like we were this week, we're able to just kind of pump and hit on all cylinders. But when we're out in the field, I believe that I know, as a matter of fact, it's just tougher to deliver perfection in the show. And so we wish for that. And so anyway, I love the great state of Oklahoma. Got relatives in Oklahoma. McAllister, Oklahoma. You ever heard of it? My cousins live there. Okay, cool. But I'd love to come back. Let's grab some super chats, shall we? Okay, here we go. Some supers here. Comey the Comicrat. Thank you, David Rodriguez. I agree. Jerry! From General Result. Jerry getting shout outs. Happy Friday, y'all. From They Love Charlotte. They Love Charlotte. Yesterday was 86.47 since 9/11. Oh, okay. So he's going to use that? That's going to be the excuse, isn't it? Okay. Benny, 8647 was also the number of days from 9/11. I'm sure. I'm sure that's what he meant. I'm sure that's what he meant. That's not what he meant. Tracy, yes. But you're right. They could totally use this. We have voluminous amounts of data and video footage of Democrats using 8647 in their protests, on social media, putting it in their shots during corporate media hits. No, it's an op, right? It's an op. Jenny says, fire them all. Hire all new people at the Secret Service and the FBI. I totally agree. Chris Codron says, they'll probably say it's because of the Maryland dad and Planegate. Thank you, Benny and the crew. Hope everyone has a great weekend. They'll probably say it's because of the Maryland dad and Planegate. Oh, yeah. Got it. Like, assassinate President Trump because he deported the Maryland dad, member of MS-13, and then because he accepted a plane from Qatar. Freedom of speech, not freedom from consequences. Okay, yeah, that has continuity. I spit out my coffee reading Corn Pop. Love this chat. From Chris again. And thank you, Chris. My daughter's boyfriend said 86, you know who, is a level on a game he saw. I mean, teenagers know what 86 means. That's right. From They Love Child app. Here we go. Alexander the Great says, Benny, high blood pressure challenge. Eat right for your type. It will end diabetes and high blood pressure. Blood type, y'all. Oh, cool. I've never seen it. We'll look for it. Carol with a green heart. Gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Carol. Okay, here we go. Florida Original says, want to talk more about the states prosecuting Fauci since his pardons federal, maybe you could talk to state attorneys. It's a great idea. I wish I would have asked Ed Martin that, since he's Ed was great guest. We'll ask him next time. Why not move into the states, right? Here we go. T. Ryan, Benny, I'm a little behind, but you're spot on the communists. They'll never stop and admit that they were wrong. They'll never speak out against the party. It really makes you wonder, why don't we learn about Mao Zedong and Stalin? Why don't we learn about the greatest butchers in history? I'm not saying there are other butchers, there are other bad people, but the worst people are the communists. Far and away. Like, not by a little, by a lot, actually. And maybe Dr. Fauci. I think Dr. Fauci killed like 7 million people, too. Okay. Yeah. And that just happened. You know what I mean? That just happened like a couple years ago. All right. This might lead to Clive Davis being exposed, says Pineapple. Okay. Benny, can I speak a little louder, please? Chris S., you can speak as loud as you want. Let's find the Tupac and Biggie files also, says Pineapple Breeze. Yes, it's all connected, right? Yes. Elise777, Dan Scavino in the post for running in tandem. Truth Social sends over a Q+. Dan Scavino. Well, I don't know about the rest of it, but I do know that Dan Scavino is based, and I know that Dan Scavino is someone who he's like the digital voice of Donald Trump. He's been running Donald Trump's social media for a very long time. He's a great dude. Fantastic dude. We know him personally. Freaking awesome. 2 weeks ago, I said I smell a crossfire hurricane coming. Time to get up on snacks. Get behind me, Satan. That means you, Bono. That's right. I love the visceral hatred of Bono from this chat. Keep it up. Jim Carrey told us all about the Illuminati years ago on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. That's true, actually. That's 100% true. This is maybe why Jerry our meme maker, uses so many Jim Carrey posts. He uses Jim Carrey all the time in his memes. Benny, if you break down the video of Trump Butler, 100% behind Trump, there's a woman signaling to the shooter. She salutes behind a sign being held up, signaling to pull the trigger. I found this by zooming in and watching the audience. Texas Grown. Thank you, Texas Grown. We have seen some very unusual, we've seen it and we've covered it, very unusual behavior during the Butler protest for people. Very unusual, very strange behavior. Women laughing like as Trump's shot, like people behind, like people snickering. Some of the stuff's been debunked, right? Some of the stuff's been debunked. I still can't get my mind around like CNN going live for this. ALX tells me it's not true. ALX tells me it's not true that CNN was going live at other Trump rallies. Fine. But I see this permeate my feed all the time, that CNN just decided to go live for this rally. CNN says that the reason why they did this was because they wanted to cover the potential of Donald Trump picking his vice president. That's what CNN says. But the questions still persist. Ethan Kimball says, a lot of those who are a part of these alleged groups should read Matthew 18:6. They may find they fit the requirements a little too well. Is this, if you harm a child, you get thrown into the water with a giant stone around your neck? Is that what it is? Yep. Yeah, okay. Look at me reading my Bible. But you're right. That's exactly right. What that sex slave didn't say was that the cult goes beyond the CIA and politics, says Manus Het. I agree with you, Manus. I would say that obviously the cult is about like control of God's precious creation. And it's the darkness and the force of evil that goes way beyond like nation states or government agencies. It's the evil that has been present for all time. You can go back and read the Old Testament, dude, the times of Noah, like what they were doing then, what they were doing in Sodom and Gomorrah and another sunken this is just evil. It's evil acting upon God's creation. It's always been this way. It's awful. We should fight it. Doesn't mean we shouldn't fight it. And we should have victory over it. And we can do that through our Lord Jesus Christ. Albino. Better not be Bono. Bono. Nope, Albino. Since they can't get the Epstein list, pull the flight records and manifest. Albuquerque International, Santa Fe Regional, Roswell International from 1988 to 2018. Epstein's flights closed to his New Mexico ranch and headquarters. Yeah, we don't ever talk about his New Mexico ranch. Apparently that's where a lot of this bad stuff happened. We don't talk about it. It was a massive ranch, very creepy ranch. We talk a lot about the Manhattan mansion. Klein's got pictures of it right here. It's massive. I mean, it's way bigger than his island. It's way bigger than the Manhattan mansion. He owned like a huge amount of property in New Mexico, like all of this land. He owned like a whole county. Like it was like, and then he had this creepy garden. It looked like some type of, send in some type of creepy message. You can see it there. Yeah, there's better photos of it. Find that one, the more aerial shot. Anyway. Google search Governor Whitmer 8645 during Trump's first term. She did a live call, and there's a sticker behind her that clearly placed. Investigate her as well. I totally agree with that. We do have that image. This is Klein has this is the Epstein Ranch in New Mexico with the again the target. It looks like a firearm target, right? Doesn't it? It looks like a bullet sight. Yeah, like a bullseye. Yeesh. But yeah, we have this Gretchen Whitmer image. We used it in a recent read. But you're exactly right. Gretchen Whitmer did appear with an 8645 with no explanation right underneath her. Lady Trucker. Thank you, Lady Trucker, for commenting here. We thank you for being a longtime viewer. Good morning, Benny Brigade. Do you do your own research? I've been doing mine. I stand by James O'Keefe and his research along with Benny Johnson's show. Let's say this is way deeper than Bohemian Grove rituals. Keep safe, everyone. True. Alex Jones went into Bohemian Grove, man. He got it all on tape. It's real. It's real. But you're right. And you know what? Like I don't listen to the haters, man. Don't listen to the haters. Like just keep searching for truth and get down on your knees and pray that God opens your eyes and like allows for you to be a vector of truth. I keep hearing people say Diddy, Beyonce, and her boyfriend Jay-Z were responsible for the death of Michael Jackson and other musicians. Evidence is coming to light. It all makes sense. Well, I can't comment on that, Manus, because I just haven't researched it, all right? But let me just tell you something. I just am not surprised anymore about anything. I'm just not surprised about anything. Here she is, the governor of Michigan, with the 8645 right next to her. Gonna have to take down this comment. There it is. Junot says, the reason that the deep state is posting their plans beforehand is because Satanism requires a form of disclosure in order to do evil with clean hands. Well, you know what? That's exactly what Liz Crokin said. That's exactly what she said. They have to announce these things. Predictive programming. And here we go. We need a Benny meetup. Thank you for your voice, says Cosmo Sherry. Well, we actually did a big meeting on that. We're going to have a big meetup here in Tampa. It's going to be in July. And I'm going to get a monster restaurant. It's going to be right on the water. It's owned by a buddy of mine. It's called American Social, of all things. And I want to be social with you. I would love to meet you. This is going to be during the Turning Point's Student Action Summit here in Tampa at the same time. We're going to have a big, massive party. We're going to have some big VIPs there, big names. It's going to be real fun, and I would love to see you. So stay tuned for more details on that, but know that that is happening. Know that that is happening. Okay, here we go. Real fast here. James Murray says, love the show. Need Benny on the block. St. Pete, release all the files on UFOs. Lock up the commies and Hillary. I agree with all of that. I love filming in St. Pete. Get tons of libs there. They're always harebrained and funny, but there's also patriots like James Murray there. Dan Graces says, thank you, Benny. Love your show. Mashed my day. Makes my day go fast at work. But you typed mashed there, which makes me think that maybe you're a chef and you're making mashed potatoes. Maybe I'm just hungry right now. I know my wife is making mashed potatoes tonight. Tonight I'm having steak and mashed potatoes. Maybe I'll do a food post on Instagram. I never do those. That's right. Imagine eating that good. ALX, executive producer ALX, constantly posting photos of this food. All right, and here we go. Last one from John Udson. Just want to say I watch religiously, and I believe your crew is number one. Number one. You too. Now, is that a Bono thing, or are you saying you too, as in like me too? I don't know. The chat has a visceral hatred of Bono, so I'm down for that. I see no reason to like Bono. So maybe I should educate myself on why I should hate him as much as you do, but I'm down for it, okay? We're here for you. We've been here for you in this record-breaking week for us. We've changed, again, the time that we're going live every day. It's going to be now 10 a.m. We're going to do a big public post about it this afternoon, but it's going to be 10 a.m. for the stream. We're going to change that time because, well, we just think it fits better with people's schedules. And we're able to do 3-hour shows. We're at 2 hours and 37 minutes right now. And, it's not late in the afternoon. You know what I mean? For us. And so we just want to say thank you. Again, we do the show. This is a show for you, by you. We listen to the chat. We listen to the comments. We're putting it all on in order to bring light to this earth. And here's the question of the day. Do you like the 10 a.m. show? Yes. 92%. No, 8%. I'm sorry, the 8%. We're a republic around. We're a constitutional republic around here. And so this is going to be winning the popular vote. And we're going to make it our life's mission to make sure that we can deliver truth and light to you. I'm telling you, a dream come true to be able to do it. We love you. We love the chat. And you won't find another show on this planet that more deeply appreciates this community that we're building here. All right. So please come to the meetup. It's going to be in July. It's going to be like July 11th. Or don't put it on your calendar exactly yet. It's going to be like July 11th through the 13th, but the meetup will probably be on July 11th. So there it is. And look who we'll have at our party. We'll have Steve Bannon at the party. We'll have Tucker and Charlie and Don Jr. They'll all be at the party. Don't you worry. And James. You can ask James about Epstein Island. All right. It's your boy Benny. Enjoy this. What's that? Oh yeah, first of the day. I apologize. We just had a couple things in the script here. My apologies. Boy, been quite a show. Verse of the day. Do not envy the wicked. Do not desire to be in their company, for their hearts plot violence and their lips talk about making trouble. From Proverbs 24. Woo, what a perfect verse. It needs no explanation. It needs just a perfect verse. Just listen to what Ed had to say, Ed Martin at the DOJ, and then listen to what Liz Crokin had to say. And hot damn, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Their heart plots violence, Do not desire to be in their company. Do not be in the company of the wicked. Roll with us instead, okay? And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm just saying that through the sacrifice of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that we can be made anew, all right? And we want to walk in that light and that saltiness. Stay salty in this, the greatest country on earth. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I thought this was the baby's room. I'm really sorry.
I was in the pool! I was in the pool!
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings. And their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.